We're going to open this morning with an invocation that'll be led by Pastor James Ross from First Baptist Church on Bayshore in Niceville. And then we will turn to the Pledge of Allegiance with the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard. So, Pastor Ross.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather today in this great place we live and discuss how we can continue to make decisions that allow all of our residents to thrive. God, I thank you for our commissioners and their willingness to serve. I pray that you would continue to grant them wisdom and guidance and gentleness as they lead and serve our county. And God, I thank you for these words on this wall that say, in God we trust. And I know I join with many others who just ask for your hand of protection, guidance, and wisdom to be on us in this great place that you allow us the opportunity to live. So again, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this meeting. May all that is done honor you. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, thank you, Pastor. And now the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard will present the colors, and the pledge will be led by Commissioner Mixon. Thank you. I see Sheriff Aiden back there. Thank you, Sheriff, for allowing your honor guard to help us this morning. Appreciate that. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hofstad, who will present our employee awards.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I hope everyone had an enjoyable Martin Luther King weekend. It's good to be back at work. I, as you know, bring forward at certain times during the year a number of milestone awards. We have over 1,100 employees, and we like to recognize certain milestones in their career. We have 3 service awards today, ranging from 5 years to 12 years with 1 retirement. And we also have a Hero Award, a very special award that we'll recognize after we recognize these employees. So when I call your name, if you'll please come forward, stand with me, and we'll get a group picture afterwards. First, I'd like to recognize Ernest Griffin. Ernie is the Veterans Services Counselor in the Veterans Services Office. This is his 5-year service award. Stand right here with me. Next, I'd like to ask Lindsay Larson to come forward. Lindsay's with the Airports Department, and she is a Airports Financial Services Coordinator, and this is her 10-year service award. And lastly, after 12 years of service to Okaloosa County, Robert Housel is our Supply Coordinator in Public Works, and he will be retiring after 12 years of service, and we want to recognize him today. Picture in front of the board.
Thank you. Can we get our front row to go this way a little bit? so I can see you. Good. Commissioner Cox, hello. Thank you. Yes, a little more if you would, please. Commissioner Mixon, if you go a little bit to your right. Thank you. And that looks good. Okay, we can see the certificates. Thank you, guys. All right, here we go. And, sir, could I get you to move your glasses off your shirt there? I'm getting a pretty good glare. That's okay. That's all right. Thank you. And here we go. Give me 3 pictures if you would, please. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's good. Okay, 2 more. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Good. And one last one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Another one? Sorry.
And next, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we have what we refer to as our Hero Award, and we hand this award out very sparingly, and it's based on really acts of heroism, acts of support and first aid rendering to our community, and this one couldn't be more fitting today. And I'd like to ask, I think Jennifer and BJ, if y'all could come forward, and then I'd like to ask Gabriel Rosenblatt to come forward. Gabriel, if you'll come up here. I want to recognize you for some good work that you did with this county. And with that, I think you've got something you're going to read into the record.
I do. Very honored to be able to present this award. PJ and I and the entire team at the Tourist Development Council have really been humbled by Gabriel's actions. Let me give you a quick synopsis. On Thursday, November 13, the Convention Center hosted the annual event, A Night to Honor. The event concluded shortly before 9 p.m. and guests were beginning to exit the facility. As I was walking towards the ballroom to locate the client, I observed a gentleman run out of Ballroom 1 shouting that he needed an AED. I immediately entered the ballroom where I was met by his wife, and the individual was lying on the floor in the northeast corner. She also urgently requested an AED. I turned toward the front entrance to retrieve the device, but I saw that Gabriel had already obtained the AED and was returning to the ballroom. Upon arriving at the scene, he immediately positioned himself beside the guest and began applying the pads to the guest's chest. According to our security footage, less than 45 seconds elapsed between the initial call for the AED and Gabriel's application of the pads, an impressive response time in a situation where every second is critical. Gabriel remained with the guest until the EMTs and paramedics arrived. As soon as they took over, he stepped back and provided them with the space they needed. Gabriel's professionalism and composure were noted by many who witnessed the incident. I received multiple compliments regarding his swift response, calm demeanor, and overall professionalism throughout the situation. I am personally very grateful to have Gabriel on our convention center team. His actions and ability to respond effectively did not go unnoticed. The guest was coherent and responsive as he was transported from the facility, making like-hearted comments to the 2 EMTs and paramedics. Young man, thank you for your humility and your quick actions and for being a wonderful part of the team, and you deserve everything that you get this honor for.
If you would, let's get a picture with the commission.
So we get to go too? Okay.
All right, front row, can we go a little bit this way? A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Looks good. Okay, commissioners, you're looking great back there. Okay. Commissioner Mixon, can I get you to go a little bit to your left? Just so slightly, just an inch or two. And got it. All right. Here we go, guys. And 3 pictures, please. Is there a certificate that we can see in there? Can you show it to us? There you go. Looking good. Okay. Here we go. Ready, set, right here. 1, 2, 3. Let me look that over, make sure it's not glaring. And it's good. 2 more, please. I love it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And a fresh smile. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Congratulations.
now turn to our county administrator's update. Mr. Hofstad.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I just have a couple of updates, or one update and one request of the board this morning. First, I wanted to let the board know that myself, I believe Sheila and Jason and a few of the commissioners will be traveling to Tallahassee, some tonight, some in the morning, for the legislative days in Tallahassee, meeting with our legislative delegation, and a host of other meetings we'll be taking in over Wednesday and Thursday morning. So several of us will be out of the office for that. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, we've been getting quite a bit of inquiry, quite a bit of requests for various meetings and town halls as it relates to the state purchase property at Noriega Point. The board puts together a liaison list each year. We didn't think to have that on the liaison list for this coming year, but I think it might be important to add Commissioner Palmer to that list. He's been attending those meetings as a Destin resident and the district representative, and if the board would be so inclined, I think it might be smart to identify him as a liaison for anything related to do with that property, so we have a central point of contact.
Thank you, Mr. Hofstad. I think that does, bring up a pretty good point. I know Commissioner Palmer's been, carrying a heavy load with responding to inquiries on that project. So it's probably the kind of thing that we could do by consensus, is if nobody objects to Commissioner Palmer kind of taking that liaison lead. All right, looks like we have consensus. So, Commissioner Palmer, thank you.
Sure, no.
Yeah.
If not, they get to do it, right?
Thank you. All right. Ms. Oshihara, County Attorney's update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no updates today.
All right, very good. Mr. Clerk?
Just real quick, I wanted to kind of give you an update on the ERP system. It is in full swing, and we still are getting ready for an October go-live date. And I wanted to just thank the county department, Sheila's team, Kelly, OMB, for their cooperation and collaboration with getting this off the ground and getting it moving. So it's looking real good. So it looks like October, we're still on track to be live in October. So thank you so much.
Very good, thank you. All right, that now brings us to our public comment portion of the meeting. And we have two categories of comments: those that are reserved for a public hearing item. I have two that are two speaker cards that have been turned in that are noted for that. So those will not be called until the public hearing item is actually brought up. The other cards that I have do not indicate they're for the public hearing. If you actually are here for the public hearing, you'll want to reserve your comments until that time. So just let me know when I call your name. Our first speaker is Donna Gross.
I've never done this before.
It looks like it's on. You're
It's
good.
on,
And
okay.
just as a reminder, and we'll start your clock over, we do ask everyone to try to limit their comments to 3 minutes. If somebody needs to pour over, there'll be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting as well with additional time. Thank you.
Okay. Do I start it now? Is it working?
You're good.
Okay. So I'm just here to speak about the fairgrounds. I'm involved with the fairgrounds for our nonprofit. And the problem is that the pricing for our legacy, our nonprofits, have been almost doubled. I did work out something with the facility. However, for other nonprofits, this is a huge problem. We do a lot of community service, and a lot of other nonprofits do community service, and we can't do that if we can't afford the facility. Now, the fairgrounds is like Americana. It's baseball, apple pie. And I know you honored Mr. Regan with the name change, but by calling it now a center, you've changed the entire dynamics of the facility. It's almost like a commercial facility. You took the fair out of fairgrounds. And I just want you to think about what you're doing to the local population that really need to use the fairgrounds at a fair price so they can do the good stuff we do for the community. And that's all. I just want you to consider just doing something for us little people who work for the community within Okaloosa County. And that's it, that's all. And I have a minute and 23 seconds left.
Thank you for coming to share, and of course, hopefully you're not upset with any of the improvements out there. I think we've come a long way with those. I think the board has been very cognizant of the issue you're talking about, so we're still working through that. But if you'll see Jennifer Adams or Deputy Administrator Craig Coffey, Craig's right over there. You can get his card and his contact. He or Miss Adams is sorry here. There she is. She's back there. If you'll talk with them, they are certainly trying to work with our legacy event sponsors at the fairgrounds, and I think the board has said more than once its intent was to improve the property, also be able to protect those legacy events like you're talking about, but have a new and refreshed facility that will be good for many years to come. So I think we can accomplish both. So if you'll just talk with them, we're here to work with you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rob, I think it's Volition. Did I get that right?
Close.
Close.
Valentin.
Valentin.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, so my name's Rob Valentin. I'm treasurer of the Holiday Isle Improvement Association and co-chair of the Beach Committee. I'm a full-time resident of Destin. I also have with me Carrie Coleman, the vice president of the Holiday Isle Association, who is also a resident of Destin. I came here to thank Alex Fogg and the staff for the work done and persistence in making the beach renourishment project a reality. We recognize the hard work done and investment in time to ensure that this was accomplished yet this year. We've appreciated working with him and in support of the project, and will continue to provide our support as we work with the various condominium associations to get the temporary easements signed off by the CAMs and association presidents in time for the March kickoff. So I know there's a lot of work that was put into that, and we thank him and his staff. But I also want to thank you folks that are sitting up here as well. We want to thank you for your efforts and the support in funding this project for the residents that reside there. We also hope to work together as well to find a solution for the proposed park and marina at Noriego Point, which is part of the Holiday Isle Improvement Association. We believe that working together, we can find a solution that makes this unique and beautiful piece of property accessible for all residents and visitors to Okaloosa County and the city of Destin, while keeping its natural beauty intact, avoiding commercialization, and preventing a negative impact on the 2,000 plus residents who reside and over 1,900 unique properties on the Holiday Isle. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Eric Bowman.
Good afternoon. Since about 2023, the taxpayers of Okaloosa County have shelled out between $500,000 and $600,000 to a private company to set up and operate a surveillance system that tracks each and every one of us. This private company is Flock Safety. Their system has been advertised as a license plate reading technology, but it's so much more than that. This system categorizes your vehicle, make, model, color, body style, and anything about your vehicle that's unique that makes it yours. Everything from roof racks, bike racks, toolboxes, tools, all the way down to your bumper stickers and your window stickers. In addition to that, these cameras also log date, time, location, and direction of travel every time you pass through their field of view. That's your pattern of life. This data collectively is called your Flock fingerprint. Where is this Flock fingerprint data sent? It's not sent to the county sheriff, who's the customer. It's sent to Flock Safety. They maintain the database. They do with it whatever they want, wherever they want around the world. It's baked into the contract. I'm going to quote for you from a piece of the contract, section 4.2, quote, customer grants Flock a non-exclusive, irrevocable, worldwide, royalty-free license to use customer-generated data for the purpose of providing Flock services. If you look through this contract, you will not find a definition for what Flock services is. Flock uses this data worldwide for whatever they want, and they call it Flock services. Just last month, it was reported that Flock was caught sending customer-generated data overseas to have AI annotators go over the data, the customer-generated data, to help train Flock's artificial intelligence. Worldwide, irrevocable license, whatever they want to do. A quick Google search will also show that Flock has had a habit of granting unauthorized access to the data to agencies that don't have contracts with them. Simple Google search, you can find all that information yourself. In addition to that, there's database abuses that go on all the time. There was recently one right here in Okaloosa County in Niceville. You can look that news report up as a Niceville police officer. Bottom line, we're paying for a surveillance system that is sending data to a private company that does whatever they want with it. It's in the contract. This data is available worldwide to whoever Flock wants to provide it to. I understand that law enforcement thinks this is a useful tool, and I'm sure it is, but at what cost? Do we compromise every citizen in the county to give law enforcement a tool to track the 1% to 2% people that are actually committing the crimes? I think there's probably other options available that work better for the entire population. Thank you.
Thank you for coming this morning. And I do want to point out, of course, this is an issue that that the board asked our staff to look into to brief us. And part of the unintended consequence may have been that the sheriff's office was kind of flooded with inquiries. So I'm glad that you came to us because the sheriff's a user of that tool, but we're the ones that are kind of trying to understand these contractual relationships. So, obviously the sheriff's using it for the safety and welfare of our citizens. The questions you brought up are not about the sheriff; they're about what is the private company doing. That's what we're looking at. So, just want to remind everybody, if they've got questions on that side of it, that's something the commission's looking at. Please don't bombard the sheriff's office with those kind of things because they're just doing what they do in keeping us safe. The board is kind of looking at the contractual issue. Just for clarification, I mean, I'm not telling you who you can and can't talk to, but just for, line of communication, the board is the one that's trying to explore that, not just with this year's contract, but just understand the relationships with the private vendor. So, thank you. Paul Roberts is our next speaker.
How you guys doing today? For nothing is hidden that would not be manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known. Commissioner, my name is Paul Roberts. I'm a servant of Jesus Christ. I stand here today as a survivor of systematic corruption that resides in your county. This corruption is being orchestrated by the Department of Children and Families, Family First Network, and your First Circuit Court itself. I came here to tell you the hard truth. The system you are funding is not protecting children, it is selling them. For 2 years, my wife Marissa and I have lived in a state of torture. We wake up every day to the silence of a stolen home. We have been traumatized, hunted, and crushed by a system that profits from our pain. But Jesus carried us through. He gave us strength, and he made a way. Andre has a report for you, and official transcripts off the court and sworn affidavits. These documents prove that you are funding a criminal enterprise. In my report, I am handing you a report of my findings that proves gross negligence, civil rights violations, and the destruction of loving family. This report details exactly how your agents broke the law in 3 ways. They violated the 4th Amendment, they violated the 14th Amendment, and finally they committed Title IV fraud.
They shut out our family completely. They allowed the family no visitations. They allowed the family no phone calls. They sent no family updates. This breaks the state and federal law, specifically Florida Statute 395085 and 42 USC 671. The law says you must put the family first. Instead, they destroyed our family bond. They replaced our family with strangers for profit. They blocked our relatives just to force an adoption. Adoption brings them a federal bonus check. They violated our right so they could traffic our children for money. Commissioners, the proof is in your hands. You can no longer say we didn't know. If you continue to write checks for Family First Network without an audit, that is part of the fraud. Consider this an official notice pursuant to 42 USC Section 1983. God is watching and the truth is out, and we will not stop until our children and every child that has been systematically trafficked by Okaloosa County Family First Network returns home. God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Hey, Roberts, so Family First, that's a contract through the state. It's not a contract through the county. It's not something the county commission gets a choice in. It's not something that we have oversight in. It's a contract through the state. Department of Children and Families is a state department under the governor, and so I would suggest you go towards your state legislatures. We have Okaloosa County is divided on both, so we have two reps and 2 senators. I'm sorry, come back to the mic. I couldn't hear you. If that's okay, Mr. Chair.
Do you fund the judges?
Do we fund the judges? So within the 3 tiers of government, we have an obligation to fund judges, but we have no oversight.
Well, they're involved.
Okay, so you don't want an answer. Okay.
All right, our next speaker is Cicely Austin.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cicely Austin. I'm a civil rights advocate, and I need to provide public notice to Okaloosa County. This is in accordance with the United States Constitution, Rules of Civil Procedure, as well as Rules 17 and 20 of the United States Supreme Court. The Constitution of the United States has an overreaching requirement that every state must follow. States cannot enact their own alternate legislation substituted for the guarantees of the Constitution of the United States. That would mean that the state laws are more powerful than the Constitution. This is unlawful. Clause 1 of Amendment 5 states, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or of indictment by a grand jury." However, the state of Florida has enacted its own alternative legislation and permits prosecuting attorneys and police officers to charge by way of information as opposed to indictment. That is unconstitutional. An imminent violation is when you pay a public official to break the law. The Constitution has 2 areas that enforce this. Article 1, Section 10 says, "No state shall create any law that shall impair the obligation of contracts." Police officers, prosecutors, judges are all under contract. A contract to perform based on the oath or affirmation that they took to support and defend the Constitution. Contract parameters are defined within the Constitution of the United States, and when a state enacts an inferior law that directs their agents to disobey the Constitution of the United States, that is violation of Article 1, Section 10. The 14th Amendment is the other place that you'll find the reinforcement of this issue. That is where it states that no state shall create or enforce a law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the United States citizens. The privileges and immunities of the United States citizens are at a minimum those enumerated within the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments. Unfortunately, the state of Florida has enacted a law in its inferior constitution that permits public officials, judges, law enforcement officers, whom you all pay, to violate the Constitution of the United States. As a result, there is an inordinate amount of people currently in prison in the state of Florida, illegally and unconstitutionally. Tawanda Downing is litigating this issue at the United States Supreme Court. I am here to notify you that you cannot continue to pay public officials to break the law. Criminal sanctions can come from that. Officials must be made aware that paying people to disobey the law is an imminent violation. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It's constitutional. It is a crime. I'm asking you, honorable individuals, to please take a look at Clause 1 of Amendment 5, confirm what I am saying to be true, and then direct your public officials to act in a lawful constitutional manner consistent with the obligations that are codified in the Constitution of the United States of America. I have a notice that I would like to put on record. Thank you so much. Sorry for exceeding the time limit.
Our next speaker is Patrick Walker.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Walker. I'm here regarding a parcel of 5 contiguous lots on Sycamore Avenue and Bayshore Drive in Niceville, including the three lots on Sycamore and the county right-of-way, which were clear-cut in October of 2024. Residents are not opposed to development. We understand it's going to happen. We're opposed to the county's ongoing failure of enforcement of its own codes. Despite significant violations documented since January of 2025, 2 code enforcement cases, and the June case, which is still in violation today, the prolonged noncompliance undermines the county's enforcement credibility and leaves both public property and the delineated wetlands exposed to continuing environmental harm. All we are asking is the county to do is to enforce the code as written. Number 1, enforce the discoloring materials prohibition. The developer placed truckloads of unauthorized red fill without approval. The county documented this in January of 2025, yet no action has been taken to require removal. Instead, the county is allowing the developer to bring in more fill to cover up the illegal material. This is not enforcement, it's concealment. Violations of this section are second-degree misdemeanors under Section 125.69 Florida statutes. That means enforcement authority includes both civil code officers and law enforcement. When environmental harm is ongoing, failing to pursue either pathway raises concerns about selective enforcement. Number 2, enforce erosion and sediment control requirements. This code applies to all development activity. The developer has never been required to install full erosion and sediment controls around the entire parcel. As a result, the unauthorized red fill has repeatedly discharged into the wetlands during rain events for over a year. These controls are required at the time of land disturbing activity, yet they are still not in place. Number 3, enforce protection of natural water courses. The developer installed swale has repeatedly failed, channeling runoff directly into the wetlands in violation of the code. Protective measures must not only be installed, they must function. This one does not. Number 4, enforce the destruction of public property code. The clearing, excavation, and placement of fill within the county right-of-way were done without authorization. The code contains no exemption. Grandfather development rights do not apply to public property. The county should require civil restitution to restore the right-of-way. And 5, issue a stop work order. Given the ongoing violation and its environmental impacts, continued inaction signals that the compliance is optional and developers may proceed without consequence. A stop work order is necessary to prevent further harm. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. How you doing today? And all the people of Okaloosa County. I want to say this to all of us. I'd like to have a pray for everyone that's in here. Our country is seem like it's about at war, and I want us all to pray for our president, even all our officials, even one of my good friends, Sheriff Aiden back there, who I love very much. But my name is Andre McKinnon. I'm a civil rights advocate, and I'm also here to provide notice in accordance to USCS rules and civil procedures, as well as Rule 17 and Rule 20 from the United States Supreme Court. The Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the land. I'm pretty sure we all do agree. No state, no county, and no court has the authority to create or enforce policy that contradict the Constitution or provide citizens of their secured and protected rights. Yet it is happening every day in our family court and our juvenile courts. Across the nation, children are being removed from fit and loving parents, not for abuse, not for neglect, not for abandonment, not for danger, but for profit. Under Title 4D and Title 4E federal funding, states and counties receive financial incentives tied to the removal and separation for adoption of our children. That means our system profits when families are torn apart. A federal pipeline of money has turn our children into financial commodities. Unfortunately, this is not a conspiracy. This is codified federal funding. It is true that a portion of our county's budget contributes to the operation of every courts participating in unlawful removal of children from fit and loving, healthy parents without due process of law, without jury trials, and without preponderance of evidence, because this has happened to me. When our government officials, including judges, attorneys, and the clerk of the court, and law enforcement, and other county-funded agencies, knowingly and neglectfully deprive citizens of their rights, and secured and protected by the Constitution, it is a federal crime under 18 U.S.C. 242. When two or more agents operate under the color of law, deprive children and families of their rights, that becomes a criminal conspiracy under 18 U.S.C. 241. When the state actors deprive individuals of rights in exchange for federal financial gain, such conduct constitutes unlawful emolument under Article 1, Section 10. This is also a pattern of rights-based exploitation, which in many cases includes kidnapping, bribery, extortion, and sometimes murder, otherwise known as the RICO, under 18 U.S.C. 4, misprision of a felony. Whoever is made aware of federal crimes and fails to report it to the proper authorities is committing a separate felony. Ignoring this is not an option. The law requires to report this. As elected officials who swore at oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, because this commission allocates funding that enables the courts and state actors to operate, continue to fund these unconstitutional practices after receiving notice, places this commission.
And if you can get to the point, we're out of time, but I've been giving everybody about 15, 20 seconds extra. So if you could just give us the bottom line.
10 seconds.
Okay.
Implicated in this ongoing violation, we are calling on to you, county commissioners, immediately to withhold any county-level funding that supports and enables these actions until compliance with the Constitution is stored and every child is returned back to their homes. I'm serving you with affidavits from that's containing prima facie evidence right here of crimes committed by judges within our county. Our children are not for sale, and we as parents are not streams.
And if you could give those to the clerk can take those as records of the county. Thank you. Our next speaker is Carlos Camacho, Jr.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Carlos Camacho, Jr., co-founder of the SS United States Preservation Foundation, and I'm a federally recognized consulting party in the ongoing Section 106 review for this reefing project. That role gives me direct access to regulatory agencies and the technical documentation for this federal undertaking. Before addressing the environmental issues related to this project, I first need to correct one procedural matter. The December 9th presentation I'm responding to was entered under the name Ms. Jennifer Adams, although it was delivered by Mr. Alex Fogg, your Natural Resource Chief. That discrepancy affects the accuracy of the public transcript and the crediting of the statements that I'll be addressing today. I want to speak clearly about the environmental and public health risks associated with the SS United States Artificial Reef Project by using EPA-certified laboratory data and federal law. Your Natural Resource Chief described the ship's paint as relatively clean. However, certified EPA method testing from May 2025 does not support that claim. York and Atlantic Laboratories found 4,520 milligrams per kilogram of hexavalent chromium, which is a highly regulated carcinogen found in zinc chromate primer paint used in the vessel's construction. For context, the EPA hazardous waste threshold is 5 milligrams per liter, and the World Health Organization's drinking water guideline is 50 parts per billion. The SS United States exceeds those thresholds by tens of thousands of times. Your Natural Resource Chief also stated that zinc chromate is not federally regulated. However, zinc chromate contains hexavalent chromium, which is listed as a hazardous substance under the Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act, also known as the Superfund Law. Any release over 10 pounds must be reported to the National Response Center. The SS United States contains an estimated 59,000 pounds of zinc chromate-based coatings, which is by definition a federally regulated carcinogen and is classified as hazardous waste in quantities that trigger mandatory reporting. Your Natural Resource Chief further claimed that zinc chromate breaks down into chromium-3 in salt water. Marine toxicology does not support that claim. Hexavalent chromium does not readily convert into a harmless form in open oxygen-rich Gulf waters, and it can reoxidize back into toxic form in the presence of sunlight and oxygen. It persists, stays mobile in the water column, settles in sediments, and accumulates in the food chain. Salt water does not neutralize hexavalent chromium. In fact, it's an exposure pathway. Your Natural Resource Chief also stated that the county is following all regulations. However, the Army Corps permit being used for this project requires materials to be clean and free of toxic residues. Hexavalent chromium, lead, and PCBs are toxic residues, and the documented levels associated with this vessel means that it does not meet the environmental criteria found in that permit. The permit being used for this undertaking was written for clean materials and not a 990-foot historic ocean liner coated in hazardous materials. Lastly, your Natural Resource Chief's comparison to the USS Oriskany is also inaccurate. As required by the EPA, the Navy spent 4 years and over $20 million on chromium and toxic material remediation before sinking the vessel. The SS United States is larger and carries a greater toxin burden. The county's attempt to complete greater remediation within a 1-year timeline and under a current $13 million budget does not align with the federal precedent set by the Navy. Commissioners, the scientific data and federal thresholds are not in dispute, and the risk to the Gulf waters are not hypothetical. I respectfully urge the board to consider the risk of this undertaking, review the certified evidence, ensure full environmental compliance, and followed by moving forward with deployment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, my ears are like all like popped from North Jersey, so it's like down here. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Kenneth Fuller.
My name is Kenny Fuller, and Robert Armin Goodman, which is the head, the president up there, born September 28, 1979. I want to tell you I wrote up an affidavit, a sworn affidavit, under Florida Statute 92525. I do not need the sheriff or any of his deputy to swear me in, as long as I put under the penalty of perjury. And that's what I'm filing on statute. You violated statute January the 6th, 83705, false report to a police authority. When I was in here at the meeting and you called the sheriff on me, and when I committed no crime, and on the Florida statute 286011, because I said cuss word, and talked about that Japanese attorney over there, that lady. You didn't like what I said, and under the freedom of speech, I got that right to say that, no matter how I dress. And you said that I threatened her, which I didn't, and you made it seem like the sheriff, that you were their boss. You're not their boss. That guy back there, that's their boss. He the one that can fire them, and they supposed to know the law, and that's why they knew I didn't commit no crime. Now, the governor cannot even fire a deputy, but the sheriff can, and the sheriff can fire the governor, and he can also fire all of y'all. And you violated the statute 838, sir. And also, the Supreme Court, for lawyers, y'all two there under Rule 311, no vested right and license to practice law confer no permanent or vested right to the holder. Conditional privilege. Legal practice is defined a conditional privilege granted by the state. Revocation for a cause because it is a privilege and not a right. The license can be revoked or suspended for the cause by the Florida Supreme Court if a lawyer has found unfit to practice. You abuse your privilege by saying that I threaten that lady, and by you being a lawyer, everybody's supposed to believe you. I go to the law book too. You might go to Tallahassee. My lawyer is Jehovah is my lawyer, Jesus Daddy. Read Exodus chapter 6, verse 3, then you'll know who I'm talking about. But that's what you did, and I don't appreciate. And we got you on tape, and we're gonna send that to the Florida Supreme Court. I don't appreciate. And you done a lot of other things. And you go by a fake name. Your name is not Trey, okay? You're a phony. That's what you are. And you can smile all you want. You might know all the people up there, but that's okay. Yeah, you got that, and that little cheerleader dance you did. Oh, my bar number is still. Oh, you take that, and that's the right say. I can do that.
Thank you, sir. All right, Steve Perry.
All I can say there is it seems like I always follow Mr. Kenny Fuller at his meetings. So I hope I make a better impression on the County Board of Commissioners when I do speak. Again, I'm not a very eloquent speaker. You know that. I'm always nervous when I speak like this, but I do want to bring up a few issues again, specifically about diver safety. But first, I'd like to address the issue we had last week, 2 weeks ago with Ms. Cox about the EPA. I was kind enough to get an EPA summary report prepared by your Coastal Resource Manager that was issued a year ago tomorrow, actually. And what that consists of is 4 different samplings and everything related to PCBs that was done. Ironically, the second sampling was done by a company that I led around the ship, and I specified where all that sampling. So I was invariably involved in that sampling. And that sampling, according to the summary report, the first 5 pages, was sent to the EPA for a review. But nothing else indicates it was shared with the EPA. I'm sure the sampling you guys have done since is in that report that's being compiled now. But there is no report yet completed and everything. So I just want to put that on the record from what was said last time. With that said, I'm going to bring up diver safety again. I know this is a hammer for me and everything, but these issues are important because, again, you're creating a destination off your shores, 20 to 25 miles, where I've been a mariner most of my life. Yes, I work shoreside now, but I've spent a lot of time at sea, days and weeks where you don't even see land, and it is dangerous 5 miles out to sea, not just 25. So when it is stated that, again, I could be wrong, but you guys don't have a diving destination that far offshore yet and everything. So this is going to be new. And when it was brought up last time that you're working with a grant for, a hydraulic chamber, but that's still not in it, I'm going to bring up what I've said before. When Walt Disney Company came to Florida and started buying up land, they specifically created Reedy Creek so they wouldn't overburden the taxpayers of Orange County to handle their fire, police, and all that kind of stuff. It's the responsibility, if you're going to create something, not to burden the taxpayers with that responsibility or federal agencies. And again, 25 miles offshore is something that's the preview of the U.S. Coast Guard if there's danger. And then when the danger is there, you've got nothing to help onshore necessarily handle it. So these are issues that I hope you are addressing and looking at thoroughly. The final thing I'm going to say is related to the ship itself. I'm not here to convince you how important the ship is. I mean, it is the Mount Everest of shipbuilding. And again, I'm going to probably repeat myself. It is the most significant and historically significant ship of the entire 20th century. Other people may debate that, but I think if you talk to people who know maritime, they will recognize this is not just any ship. This is something of a spectacular nature. And there's plenty of ships that can be reefed that'll be safer for diving, and I've already given that information to you. I'm still afraid that you're going to create a diving destination that's going to cause you casualty and heartache down the road instead of the financial benefit that you're intending it to create. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mitzi Henley.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mitzi Henley, but today I am Ben Franklin. And I just wanted to thank you. This is a lighter note of conversation. I just wanted to thank you for the proclamations that we're about to enter, and that you're taking such a strong stand for our country, for America 250. And one of the reasons I wanted to dress as Ben today is because Ben Franklin was 70 years old when he signed the Declaration. He was one of the oldest signers. I'm turning 70 years old this year. And I have to, thank you. And I have to wonder, would I put up everything my family has worked for, would I put it on the line to finance a war for freedom so that we can have people, just like we've had today, bring up our Constitution so that we can all live in peace? And so these proclamations and this 250th anniversary to me is a big deal. And I just appreciate what you're doing. And the proclamation we're going to receive today, we are going to present it to the Niceville community this Saturday night as a big kickoff. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Our next speaker, this is my last speaker card, is J.B. Whitten. Mayor?
Oh, speaking of 70s. You're young. Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. You used to see me up north. I know how to get to Shalimar. Love coming down here. Getting back to Crestview this time in the afternoon could be difficult on me, but I did want to come by. You have an issue here. It's not in your public meeting. It's on your consent agenda number 3. Related to the previous topic, and that is forming a commission for America 250. I just want to come by and thank you for doing that, leading the way, setting everybody in motion to celebrate 250 years. I stand by to help you any way I can, and I volunteer my city to do anything you want to push up on the north. We'll do it. They may not know it yet, but we'll do anything that y'all give us to do. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. And I heard you say y'all pay for it, too. All right, I don't have any other speaker cards, so if you are here to address the commission and have not had an opportunity to speak, now would be the time, and you can turn in a speaker card at the back table. Otherwise, we're going to close the first public comment portion of the meeting, and there'll be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting as presented on the agenda. Mr. Chair. Yes. Did you have a did you sign a card to speak on the zoning issue? Yes. Okay, so you'll be called up during that issue. That's a public hearing item, so that's got to be brought up at that time, so we'll call you when that issue comes up. So I have that. These are the general cards that I'm talking about, so we'll call you up. Thank you. All right. I don't see anybody else coming forward wishing to bring general comments, so we'll close this portion of the meeting for public comments. That'll bring us to the consent agenda. Commissioners, items that you
I'd like
wish
to pull
to pull.
2, please.
Item 2.
1, sorry, 1, not 2, 1.
1, not 2.
Second.
7?
Second, no, just second.
Okay, so that's a motion to approve less item 1. Is that correct?
Yes, except are we going to talk about the Commission 250 at all? I think we should.
Do you want to pull that as well?
Yeah, I think that's really good.
And that's number 3?
We gotta showcase that a little bit.
Okay, so you've made a motion to approve less 1 and 3?
Yes, please.
And do we have a second for that? Okay, and we have a second for that. So any further discussion on that? All right, those in favor of the consent agenda, less items 1 and 3, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Commissioner Ketchel, item 1.
Thank you. Well, it is my honor to present a proclamation recognizing America 250. In the audience with us are West Florida Daughters of the American Revolution, Choctawhatchee Bay Daughters of the American Revolution, the Emerald Coast SAR, Sons of the American Revolution, and Ben Franklin and Betsy Ross honor us today. This has been a great day. And actually, before I read this, I just want to say that what we saw, I think, is kind of what everybody envisioned when they created America. That even though some of these things sounded odd and we had lots of questions, I saw some of you going, it's democracy in a republic. This is what we are supposed to have. We're so blessed to be able to have a public forum like this and a place where we can worship and all the Bill of Rights that we have. I'm so patriotic. Many of you know that I have many ancestors who fought for the American Revolution. I love this country dearly. So these ladies do too. Graham Fountain and the folks over there. How many SAR members do we have here? Raise your hand. See, got lots of them too. So that's great. So wonderful. So without further ado, let me read this proclamation, and then I want to present to each group, so come forward for a picture. And if you want to say anything, you can take the mic for a moment. Whereas on July 4, 2026, our nation will commemorate the semi-quincentennial anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And whereas the journey toward this historic milestone is an opportunity to reflect on our nation's past, honor the contributions of all Americans, and look ahead to the future generations who will carry forward the ideals of democracy and individual liberty that make the United States a unique nation in the world community. And whereas the great state of Florida became a territory of the United States in 1821 and was admitted to the Union as the 27th United States state on March 3rd, 1845. And whereas America 250 is the official nationwide nonpartisan initiative established to commemorate this historic milestone by encouraging communities across the country to reflect on the nation's past, honoring the contributions of all Americans, and inspiring civic participation for the future. And whereas this historic milestone provides an opportunity to recognize the ideas of freedom, democracy, equality, and self-governance that have shaped the United States over 2.5 centuries, and whereas America 250 seeks to promote educational programs, community events, civic engagement, historical preservation, and inclusive dialogue that acknowledge both the achievements and challenges of our nation's history, foster unity and understanding among all people, and reaffirm a shared commitment to the principles of freedom, equality, and representative government. And whereas from the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party in 2023 until the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 2033, local governments and communities will serve a critical role in preserving history, promoting historical awareness, promoting civic pride, and preparing future generations to carry forward the principles upon which this nation was founded. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Okaloosa County Board of County Commissioners that we do here recognize and support America 250, passed, I hope, today, and adopted July 20th, 2026, and I do move approval.
And so we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ketchel, a second by Commissioner Palmer. Further discussion? All right, those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously.
One further thing I want to say, we often talk about our country and how divided it is today. Do you not think it was divided during the Civil War? Do you not think it was divided during civil rights? I mean, Mayor Whitten said he's 70. Everybody knows I'm 73, thanks to Kenny Fuller. And so I've been through a lot just in my own lifetime watching history. But a lot of good stuff has happened. A lot of really good stuff has happened. And we're a lot further than we were, and we're not where we want to be yet, but we're going to be there. And I'm so glad to celebrate the birth of this nation. So I ask all of you to come forward. Does anybody want to come up to the mic, Betsy or Ben Franklin or anybody? Graham, you never turn down an opportunity to get to the mic. So let's come up and take a picture and hand these out.
We just thank y'all for doing these things. It means a lot to us.
Where do you want us to stand?
Just right here in the front of the dais, please.
I got to get up here with my brother Ben. How did I get in the back?
How did you get back too?
just a little bit to your left, just a little bit. There you go. Come on over. That's good. Come on over. There you go. Good. Yeah. Squeeze on in there. Okay, guys. And it's good. Okay, give me two pictures like this, and then I'll be back for one. Okay, here we go. Ready, set, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Do that. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to scooch back just a little bit.
All right. That brings us to the remaining consent item number 3. Commissioner Ketchel, you also pulled that item for discussion.
I did, but I wanted to showcase, I want Paul Mixon, Commissioner
Yes.
Mixon, to speak about it because it was his idea or his,
Submitted the item, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair. I'll be glad to read it. Move forward with that. Whereas the President of the United States and the Governor of Florida have issued proclamations recognizing 2026 as the year we celebrate the Revolutionary War and the founding of the United States of America, establishing our new republic. Whereas Okaloosa County, Florida, wishes to join them and encourage our citizenry and visitors to celebrate as well through attendance and participation in various special once-in-a-lifetime activities and events conducted over the 2026 year. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners wish to develop, coordinate, and publish a series of America 250 gatherings, celebrations, socials, remembrance services, and special event activities sponsored by both governments, private and nonprofit organizations, and the public at large that honor the men and women who fought for and died for our first government, military services, and gave their all standing up to tyranny, to taxation without representation, and a lack of personal and religious freedoms that came with being a colony of Great Britain. And whereas, at a minimum, the county would like to program an American 250 Grand Parade in the county seat near the courthouse, memorial service honoring Revolutionary War, patriot ancestors, a public gala event, educational programs in our schools, and other activities designed to educate young people about the history of the Revolution and the principles of our founding fathers who gave us our Constitution and Bill of Rights. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Okaloosa Board of County Commissioners hereby designated the year 2026 as the America 250 celebration year in Okaloosa County, and hereby establish the Okaloosa County America 250 Commission under its purview, which shall operate from the date of adoption through January 31st, 2027. The America 250 Commission shall be chaired by the President of the Sons of American Revolution, Emerald Coast Chapter, or his designee, with the Vice Chair being the Regent of the Daughters of the American Revolution, Choctachi Bay Chapter, or her designee. The following will make up the other members of the 17-member commission. The local member of the State of Florida America 250 Commission, Director of the Okaloosa Office of Tourism Development, Okaloosa County Superintendent of Schools, or his designee, Okaloosa County member of the Florida State Historical Commission, one Executive Director, President of the Chamber of Commerce Community to be selected by the leadership of the chambers in Crestview, Niceville, Valparaiso, Fort Walton Beach, and Destin. One city mayor within the county to be designated by the Okaloosa County League of Cities. One commanding general or his designee representing the United States military community. One representative from the leadership of the Fort Walton Beach crew of Bolegs. The president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. the District Commissioner, Choctaw District of the Gulf Coast Council of Scouting America, and 5 members, one appointed by each county commissioner. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners expresses support in order to provide for meaningful activities and the proper administration of its responsibilities. The America 250 Commission shall have the authority to develop rules of business meeting procedures, collect and spend private financial and in-kind donations, create logos, emblems, and branding, and request public donations and grants, recruit volunteers, and form subcommittees and working groups, and will provide monthly updates to the County Commission. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
I'll second, but I'd like to put a friendly amendment in there. I didn't hear a member from the West Florida Daughters of the American Revolution listed there, and they should be included as a member, not an additional appointment. But don't you all agree? I think so.
So an 18-member commission?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're a big group.
And that would be...
In Destin, that would be in...
So that's different than the Choctawhatchee Bay chapter?
Yes, there's 2 different. We're so large that we've split into 2 different groups. It was not a purposeful oversight.
I have no objection to that.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to showcase this because I think it's a great idea. I really applaud you for bringing it forward. I love this. There's so many activities that we can do as a county, and you've got all the right people on the bus now. So,
well, I haven't told you lately, but I love the Sunshine Law. And because of that, we couldn't talk about it ahead of time. And so, with that...
I love it too.
It'll be great to have, my intention was to leave it on consent today and pass it, and then after we had our appointees, then go a little more vocal about it. And so that's fantastic either way. But it's good now because it does bring out the fact that every commissioner will need an appointee.
That's right. Thank you.
Very good. All right, so we have a motion to approve and a second. Do we have further discussion? Those in favor, please signal by saying aye. Those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously as amended. Thank you. All right. That brings us now to our public hearing item. And Michelle, I believe, is going to present that item. And of course, I do have the speaker cards. I have 2 speaker cards for the public hearing. If you're here and you're wanting to speak to this, I would ask you please fill out a card, turn in to the media desk in the back, and we'll call you. All right.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. This is a rezoning request for about 0.51 acres located at the intersection of Green Acres Road and Green Acres Boulevard, Green Acre Road, Green Acres Boulevard. And unfortunately, there was an issue with the notice, and so we're going to recommend that we continue this item until the February 17th meeting to allow for that notice to occur properly. There was a mix-up with the time of this meeting.
Then, since I do have 2 cards for speakers, I think what we will do is offer the speakers the opportunity to either present their comments today, or they can defer and present their comments on the 17th. It'll be...
One of the speakers and the other one had to leave. If it would be beneficial to y'all and this young lady, we can defer as long as we have exact time and date. We can do that.
Yes, it'll be February the 17th, which will be a Tuesday, at 8:30 a.m. Here.
At what time?
8:30 a.m.
8:30 a.m. You sure? Because we were told 8:30. We were here 8:30 this morning.
And I'm aware of the issue. I think maybe the applicant had advertised an incorrect time because because of the holiday. When we follow a holiday, our meeting starts at 1:30 instead of 8:30. So, yeah, thank you.
The 17th at 8:30.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. And we will defer.
Thanks.
Pardon?
So,
It happens sometimes. Can't sweat the small.
all right, commissioners, we would need a motion, a second, and action to table to
So moved.
a time and date certain.
So moved.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to table and defer this this item to February the 17th at 8:30 a.m. to take place here at the OCAB building in Shalimar. Further discussion? All right, those in favor, please signal by saying aye. Those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, that will close the public hearing for now, or actually recess the public hearing until that date and time certain. Continued or recessed? Okay. What? All right. Mr. Bitterman, are you prepared to go? I know it's a little out of order, but if you've got all your things together, I'll get started with your department if that's okay.
Yes, sir, I'm ready. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Good afternoon, rather. We have 3 items today from Public Works. The first item is the presentation of the Surtax Annual Report. And so if I could have the Chairman of the Surtax Advisory Committee, Mr. Turpin, he's here today to present that. Matt?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for your time. I'm Matt Turpin, Chair of the Infrastructure Surtax Advisory Board, here to bring good news again. For as of the fiscal year 2025, there were 57 projects that were ongoing, of which 15 were completed, 7 are currently under construction, 9 are pending construction. Pretty much the rest are either in the design and pending design phase. As of fiscal year 2025, the half cent, this is what kind of blows my mind, the half cent, the county's portion, we've collected in the fiscal year ending 2025, $22,650,000 on a half cent. Since the inception, collected $136,500,000 on a half cent. On that, in fiscal year ending 2025, we earned interest income of $1.9 million. Since inception, we have earned almost $6 million in interest income on this half cent. Fiscal year ending 2025, we spent $13.7 million. We have spent, since inception, $62 million. So we have several projects left, but we have enough funds to complete all the projects that were promised in the beginning, and with many additional projects to come. I would like to thank the board, or the advisory committee, Larry Ward, Jeff Fanto, Hannah Wilburn, and Paul Schoberg. He is new to the board. Mr. Jim Foreman, which many of you know, was on the board since the beginning of the advisory committee and rolled off this year. So I would like to thank Mr. Foreman for his many years of service to this. So that is my summary report, which you can find on page 16 and 17 of the annual report. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, Mr. Turpin, thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for the time you've committed to the Surtax Advisory Committee. I know I asked you a number of years ago if you'd be willing to serve. You stepped up and done that along with your other board members, and it's been an excellent opportunity for our community. So thank you for that. Members, do you have any questions for Mr. Turpin?
I have one question, either from you or Mr. Autry. What percentage do we estimate of the millions that we've collected are paid for by tourism?
It depends on who you ask. I'd give you different answers.
So one of the, as you all know, this tax actually has a sunset to it, a proviso that causes this to sunset December 31 of 2028. And we're starting to look at the opportunity to re-up that tax, which we certainly feel it's a huge resource to Okaloosa County. It enables us to do some tremendous projects. Matt's a numbers guy, and he went through every one of those numbers, and they are astonishing. I heard a whistle behind me because they have quite an impact. And one of the things that we're doing is looking back at the history of how did we come up with the formulations beforehand. And I do want to share publicly that there has been a little telephone game that has occurred with one of our values. The reality is that our surtax program, there are estimates that our surtax is paid for, about a third of it comes from tourists. So anywhere to 30-35%. I just think a third is a very easy way to say that. However, in our peak seasons, it's up to 56% of the surtax is paid for by tourism. I want to make sure that we're clear. I'm not saying that 56% of it year-round is paid by tourists, but at peak season times, the tourism industry has a huge impact on what we see in terms of our surtax revenue. So throughout the course of what we have in our program, it is about 1/3 is tourist rated, but in the peak season, it's over 50%.
And I actually knew that figure because you've taught me well. But I wanted to make that very public. I think it's really important as we go about putting this on the ballot for 2026 that everybody understands what a wonderful thing this is for us. And we do have a lot of tourism here, which we are grateful for, I guess. But at the same time, we have to put up with a lot. But look at all that we're getting, the roads, the things that are happening because of this surtax.
And we will see some tremendous projects come online this year, the biggest one of which is our Southwest Crestview bypass, and I think tourists will certainly use a piece of that. It's exciting to see that roadway job coming together. It's going to be open, like I said, this year, and it will make a huge difference. And that is probably the most shining example of what I think our surtax did. It's $35–40 million between the city and the county that went towards a $200 million net total project. That's where it's at, and we couldn't do it without the resource of surtax. So we certainly thank the citizens for them approving this to begin with, and we certainly appreciate the committee's support. This is one of our favorite committees to go to because we have just great news month after month, and then obviously year after year, and of course the board's support in this project and this effort as well.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Turpin, and everybody on that committee.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank county staff as well because they do an excellent job of not only bringing and explaining the projects, also keeping track of the financials to a T. So I do appreciate that. So, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Turpin, for all of your work and the entire committee's work on this. And Mr. Autry, you mentioned the bypass, and so you guys may not have this this dollar figure readily available, but can you talk about the efficiency also of the money that we collect for this? Whereas, like, when we match it with other funds, whether it be federal or state or whatever, can you talk about the total impact of the dollars? You said 100 and...
I don't want to misspeak, but sure. It's in the order of, as Mr. Turpin described, we've had revenue to date has been in the $130 million range, and our total project value is in $270 million range. So we're talking 3 to 1, 2.5 to 1 for sure. That's a really good job of rubbing nickels together and getting quarters to pop out. So
that's right, and I think that's extremely important for the public to understand. Yes. It's not just the half-cent sales tax that our tourists pay 1/3 of or 56% of during tourist season. Right. I think I've been guilty of using the 56% because maybe it feels like tourist season all year long where I live. But I think it's important to recognize it's just not that 1/3. It's also how we use this money and how we match it with others to get other projects done. And we get our projects moved to the forefront, to the front burner whenever we can match it with these dollars. So I think it's extremely important for the public to recognize not only the amount, but the efficiency with which we're using this money.
I'm going to be a little presumptuous because on the agenda today, there is actually an agenda item about $10 million from surtax to leverage towards a state project that literally tomorrow I will be meeting with our representatives on a state level, encouraging them to support this project. We're going to try and take $10 million and turn it into 60. Pretty good work. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Commissioner Cox?
I just wanted to say thank you. I know that, like almost every other member on the dais, if not all the members on the dais, and yourself, we wear numerous hats, other hats besides our stated profession, the ones that we get paid for, all of which pay the same thing, which is just the return on investment is the ability to say that we've done something for the community, right, with our extra time. We really appreciate yours and every member, past and present, who have been on the Surtax Oversight Committee. That's a lot of money to manage, for sure. We know that you do that for a living, and the fact that you choose to do this in addition to what you do for a living, we really appreciate. And another thing that I wanted to just give for the public consumption is that, there's a lot of back and forth about property taxes right now. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that, this is an added benefit to us because it is a sales tax, right? So the surtax on the sales tax is still a sales tax, mostly voluntary. It is not an income tax. It is not a property tax. It is an added benefit to us in so many ways that, our state doesn't collect an income tax. That's a lot of money. For those of you who have friends in other states that are having to complain about, their state income tax and what they're getting for return on investment there, not only does this money enable us to partner with state agencies who would otherwise award that money to other counties, for their projects, it is leverage in that regard, absolutely. But it also enables us to have beautiful roads and bridges and things like that increase our public safety professionals' ability to do their jobs, right? To respond to your emergencies, to respond to public safety issues, and provide for public safety, frankly. All those things that other states have, that have income taxes, that we are finally able to, sort of catch up and bring our state to a more beautiful status, and also a more accessible and a more public safety friendly status, all come at the least impact possible to you, the taxpayer. And I just wanted to reiterate that, the sales tax, although it seems like it can be a lot sometimes when these numbers just spat back at you, it is certainly a huge savings to you as a taxpayer not to have that income tax, not to have additional property taxes, to be able to achieve the same things that are being achieved in other states that have those burdens on them. And that's all I had. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If I can add something to that, Mr. Altry has helped with the calculation that to get the same return without this half cent, the property tax would have had to go up 19% to get the same return.
And that is remarkable. Thank you so much.
Commissioners, other questions? If not, we do need to consider approval, I believe, of the annual report.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Mixon with a second by Commissioner Palmer to approve the report. Further discussion? All right, those in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You have a good day.
All right. Mr. Bitterman, your second item.
Yes, sir, and Jason mentioned it just a minute ago. So he mentioned the $200 million Southwest Crestview bypass that was funded through, in part, by the surtax. Well, we don't get the full benefit of using that bypass. Mayor Whitten earlier mentioned that going back up to Crestview, he's going to get stuck in the traffic. And so to get the full benefit of that bypass, we need to 6-lane Highway 85 between Shoal River and P.J. Adams Parkway. What this board has done in a proactive effort, we've already purchased one stormwater pond site that's needed to widen that segment. And we're in negotiations for trying to acquire the second site that's needed for it. Our commitment to the state is to donate these stormwater areas and to provide $10 million in cash match towards the construction cost of that project, which the construction itself is estimated at $36 million just for that 1 mile segment. FDOT refers to it as the Miracle Mile. Currently, FDOT has this project slated for fiscal year 28 in their draft 5-year work program. If we authorize this transfer now, we're fulfilling the local funding requirement listed in the plan to move the project towards the finish line. This move is consistent with our 2026 state legislative priorities, and the Infrastructure Surtax Advisory Committee met on January 7th and recommended this allocation. So I recommend a motion to approve the allocation of fiscal year 26 surtax reserves in the amount of $10 million for the FDOT widening project of Highway 85 from Live Oak Church Road to P.J. Adams Parkway for surtax project 39 and approve the budget transfer. Be glad to answer any questions.
Motion to approve. I'll move approval.
All right, I think I had two motions.
Oh, you did? Okay, I couldn't hear.
I don't know who got it first.
I don't either. Whoever does it,
Commissioner
the other
Ketchel,
can second.
Move to approve. Commissioner Cox,
Second.
did you second that?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve. Do we have further discussion? All right, those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously.
Excellent.
All right, Mr. Bitterman, your third and final item.
Yes, and so along with the surtax theme, the last is a request for surtax reserves for the evidence facility project for the sheriff's office. And we've got Sheriff Aiden and Major Allen here, and they would like to have a short discussion on this project.
Very good.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. President. I want to thank you all. This is very important to us. We obviously went from the committee, Matt, and those on the committee, thank you for hearing this need. We have a vision committee that sits within the sheriff's office for critical needs that we, I may not have the best vision, so I think everybody's minds put together creates the best opportunity for us to see how we can grow in the future during my terms, after my terms, and what are our needs. And certainly I inherited the benefit of the half-cent sales tax that was championed before I became the sheriff, and it has allowed us to be able to focus on our employees, whereas it's allowed us to have the things that we need, starting with the range, the RMS system, the big one, the radios, the driving pad, and an RMS system that benefited the entire county when we went to that, as far as making it streamlined for our corrections partners up in Crestview, and the clerk of courts, the judiciary, allows our officers to be on the road more than doing the administrative side of things, duplicating of paperwork. And that was probably the smallest thing other than the driving pad that we've asked for. So one of this critical need, and I guess Nick's running the show back here. Okay. One of the things that we looked at was, trying to make sure that we prioritize our public that we serve. And so if you go to the next slide, this facility will be, we house 129,000 pieces of evidence, and, it's currently we have 5,391 square feet here in Shalimar, 12,420 square foot impound lot. We're not asking to build something that big, and it kind of freaked me out, to be honest, at first. I'm like, well, why are we building something that's 3,000 square feet? Well, I don't have to tell any of you, anybody that drives north in the afternoon, which is all you good folks are trying to make those changes that will affect those folks driving to the north and to the south, and making that commute a lot easier in the future. Well, we have those same logistical problems. We're bifurcated between the north end and the south end of the county, with pretty much now, unlike when I was growing up, the vast majority of the people living in the south end, that's not the case anymore. So we serve maybe even more than half our population north of those double bridges, and yet we're all housed out of Shalimar. Our evidence is in Shalimar. And it's not like we can build one up there and then do away with the one down here, because we have to serve that, and we'll always be bifurcated like that between a big buffer of Eglin. And we also store firearms. We have to statutorily store firearms for local, state, federal partners, and also the inmates in the jail. There's no evidence holding for their personal property when they're taken into custody, and we have over 500 inmates at any one given time on all of their personal property. Next slide, please. So increases in evidence volume. We are currently overwhelmed. I don't have to tell you that when we went into our current facility 20 or so years ago, we've already had to take certain components within that building and grow our evidence section to the size that it is now, 391 square feet. But we've outgrown it. And it's like anything else. Our crime rate might not be going up, but the number of people, as far as percentages, but the number of people that have come here has certainly gone up in the last 20 years. So next slide, please. Compliance with legal standards. Modern evidence storage must meet strict federal, state chain of custody and protective evidence integrity, and to avoid case dismissals. We certainly don't want to work a case up for, could be 3 years before it goes to trial, only to have some sort of mishandling of evidence. And thankfully, with accreditation and everything, we do a really good job of making sure that every article of evidence is accounted for. Some of these items we have to hold for 3 to 5 years, and some of them we have to hold up to 99 years. So it really is a painstaking process, and the state and the feds have made it even more painstaking as far as the requirements to be able to prosecute. Next slide. He's got it. Sorry. On average, we take in 14,473 items of personal property every year. It truly is the term, one step forward and 2 steps back. We purge, we try to purge, but because of the restrictions and everything, we're taking in more than we can possibly purge. Next slide. The proposed solution, thankfully for you all to be able to give us this wonderful range that we have and approve that site. We didn't have to purchase any land. We didn't have to have land. We already have the existing land. The 3,000 square feet and the 7,000 lot, we are certain that that's going to be big enough. And again, it gives me a little bit of a cringe, but to be honest, here's the difference in it. We currently have 12-foot ceilings in our building over here. This will have 20-foot ceilings in what they call steel, which is what you see at Lowe's and Sam's Club. So we can go up 8 foot higher. So that 3,000 square foot building is going to be adequate from what I'm being told. And because of that. So the breakdown here, $298,500 for design and consulting fees, construction costs $1.9 million, security and surveillance $23,700, furnishings roughly $150,000, contingency of nearly 10%, a total estimated cost of around $2.7 million. Some of this is because of the type of evidence. We can't have just a normal water, fire suppression system. There are certain requirements, and this will give us a modern fire suppression, something, frankly, that we don't have. In our current one, just by the design makeup, it was going to be just exorbitantly. This one can be built into the new one. And frankly, again, we own the dirt. Another benefit is, as most of the folks that work here for the county or work for me at the sheriff's office, many of our folks work in the north end of the county. This will be a benefit to our crime scene technicians. We had a time where they would drive all the way down here to pick up a vehicle from Crestview where they live and drive all the way back there. And this way we'll have 2 different facilities that they can service, and we can probably even go to having our on-call ladies in that area of responsibility to be able to break that up where, they may even be working in the south end if they live in the south end, working in the north end. As far as coming out, these ladies come out at 2 o'clock in the morning to what we call a THI, or traffic homicide investigation, or they come out to an actual, God forbid, homicide investigation, shootings. They're the ones documenting the scenes and stuff at all hours of the night. So it will be better for those ladies as well to be able to, have a better quality of life for their downtime and response time, and they'll be able to serve the community better. Law enforcement benefits. It meets the demands of the growth in the northern part. Better evidence leads for fair trials, accurate verdicts, and reduced appeals. As I mentioned earlier, long-term cost savings related to prevention of legal issues and reducing inefficiencies. And again, I talked about the north end, having to travel to Shalimar. So I give this example. The other day, I have a friend. He lives in the Blackman community, owns a big farm up there. Said, hey, got my gun stolen. I never thought I'd see it again, but Crestview PD recovered my firearm. They said, just go down to your office and pick it up in Shalimar. I said, hold on. Don't come down here yet. Let's make sure that, obviously we recovered it, but I don't know if there's any prosecutorial restrictions on releasing it yet because of, if we have a suspect or what. I just didn't want him to be told something. It may have been accurate, but I wanted him to confirm it with our ladies and evidence that that was ready to be disposed of, because I didn't want him to drive an hour from the north end down here, probably more than that, an hour and a half home in the afternoon to get that firearm. And this will allow us to be able to service all of those individuals a lot better. And really, that's it in a nutshell. If you have any questions of me, I'll be glad to answer.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Mixon to approve the request, a second by Commissioner Palmer. Further discussion? Commissioner Cox?
I just want to say thank you for this. I know it's a lot of hard work, and it's a difficult, probably, sell, especially right now when property taxes and that are under the gun so much in the Florida legislature. But for the benefit of the public, I just wanted to say, maybe this is a reiteration of, we live in a place that doesn't have income taxes. Luckily, we do have, the influence of tourism to offset a lot of that. And unfortunately, what comes with that, although it's the huge benefit of not having income tax, is a little bit of a footprint, right? I mean, is we have crime going down. The immediate thing that I heard was that we have frequency, we have visitor traffic going up, which is a great thing for us. We have lower taxes because of it and no income tax because of it. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't impact our public safety and your ability to store, just things that the law requires you to store, right? The law requires you to do it that way. And there's not really much that we can do to offset that besides, just give you the blessing of, saying yes to situations like this where we have the blessing of the land already there and, the cost and the timing is right. So I appreciate you doing your homework on this and bringing it to our attention while we can still say yes easily to something like this.
Thank you.
That's all.
Commissioner Catchell?
Just a quick comment. I'm just, of course, thank you for all your service and your entire staff. We are always so pleased to see them in this room and all that you do. And it's just a blessing that we have the surtax money as the population grows, that we're able to do this. So I'm very excited for you, and I know that this is going to make it more convenient and you're able to store things that you couldn't possibly have done before. It's interesting that you're going up. I see that. Good idea. Thank you.
All right. Further discussion, commissioners? All right, those in favor, please signal by saying aye. And those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you. I just want to leave with, I think our agency has proven many things over the last several years, but if anything, it was transparency, credibility, accountability. Has certainly made it through some tough times in the last coming years. So unfortunately, Mr. Bowman's gone. This, camera system, we're open. We sent out something 4 years ago. I truly believe this is being confused with the latest traffic light camera. They're all using LPR system. Flock is just one company of many. But anyway, I know you got a lot on your plate today, but we have fielded several public records requests for him and others. Everything we do is transparent, and everything we do is with your best interest at heart. And it's all about solving crime. If you don't want your and I would say that whatever story about this leakage, do the research yourself. Do the research yourself and see if that's an adequate or an accurate accountability of the leakage, because we have not been able to find such leakage. And I'll say this, if you have a child and they're 5 years old, or like what happened this weekend, and you have a young lady of autism, a high-functioning autistic young adult that went missing, and we found her in Destin, safe, and got her back to safety. If that's your child, if that's your elderly mother, you would certainly not ever question being able to use this. And if you don't want your bumper sticker seen on your car, I don't know why you're driving on a public roadway with it. But thank you.
Sheriff,
Mr. Chairman.
Sheriff, there's two of us that want to say something. Three.
I just caution everybody to open too much of Pandora's box on this today. It's not
I'm going to talk about that. I'm talking about something else.
So I am going to talk about that. Sheriff, thank you for that. Thank you for that brief word on that. I think that if we had those types of data points that we could share, I think that would be very helpful because I cannot imagine being that parent who's missing that child and then having that child found through the tools that you guys are using, these advanced tools. And when we talk about using outside vendors and things like that, I mean, just the fact is local governments cannot do this, cannot develop these types of systems themselves, can't house the data. We can't collect, process, and parse the data as necessary to be used for law enforcement purposes and things like that. So it's the right thing to do. And I think that I'll stand on that every time it's brought up. I will stand on that. It is the absolute right thing to do to give you guys the tools that you need to keep our public safe. But if we had that type of data and every time something like that is a success and we're celebrated, I think that would help the cause.
Yeah, I have 5 pages of success stories in very fine print. So can you imagine how many of those are? And even if it's something as benign as my friend calling me saying, hey, my trailer was stolen, so had all the thousands of dollars of my tools in it, you think it's even worth reporting? I said, do you want it back? Because we can't get it back free if you don't report it. Within an hour, we found that in the north end at a campground. So, I mean, just getting someone's tools back. But no one will look themselves in the mirror if they're honest and say if their 5-year-old kid was kidnapped or abducted, God forbid, that they wouldn't pay anything or give anything to get that child back. And that's the, you know, yes, you're right. We don't want to open Pandora's box, but I can tell you that if you think you're not being surveyed, what do you do to open your phone? Most of us use our face. There's facial recognition. The average American is on being surveyed 70 times a day. 70 times. So I guess you can wear an aluminum foil hat and stay in your house if you want. And, hey, look, I'm just being honest. This is a tool, and for the cost of, it is a lot of money. It's the cost of one deputy a year to do what none of us can do together. I mean, next time there's a kid abducted in a white Honda Accord, start looking for a white Honda Accord. You'll see how many are out there. Trying to find that needle in a haystack, this is an absolute force multiplier. And is there a cost? Yeah. And, anyway, I've belabored that. We've put out stuff. We put out stuff 4 years ago when we first got it. Because, again, I prided myself on open, transparent communication. And I had questions from my peers going, hey, man, this is, why are you talking about it? I'm like, public's paying for it. They should be able to know what we're doing. And I have no problem with it. And we didn't have any questions until recently. And so I can't help but think that people are getting confused with this, maybe the ones that are doing citations and stuff. It's not the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. That's not what we're doing. So anyway, anybody have any other questions for me?
I have a comment.
I have something to say.
But mine's sort of silly. I was just going to say that that you and Sheriff Ashley are my two favorite sheriffs, but I have a third one, and that's Grady Judd. And honestly, I think it would be great if you went on Facebook and started doing some of the things he does. I just love to watch him. He makes me smile every single night. And if y'all don't know who Grady Judd, you need to get on there. He's really entertaining.
He is.
Right? Thank you.
I love Grady, but we love you too. And I wanted to say, I wanted to give a huge thanks for your PIO. I had probably the citizens with the most concerns about the flock cameras, and I voiced those last time. My concern, was primarily for law enforcement professionals themselves. But all of those, I can't think of a single citizen who would come forward to me whose questions weren't answered by the PIO, the Public Information Officer's response. And I published that on my socials for that reason, so that the public could see the detailed and thorough response to the questions that had been asked to me, to the commissioners, to you probably. And I can't tell you how much it means to be able to say that we have a sheriff's office with that level of transparency. I mean, I really felt like, you've spoken to it several times now, you got nothing to hide. And that conveys, in the public interest in the statements put forth. I saw that there were some victory stories immediately after that, and that local news channels, or local news media had published those as well. So I appreciated that too. I think those wins are definitely stories that make the juice worth the squeeze. So thank you.
Thank y'all. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
All right. That concludes our Public Works items of department business. So we'll go back to the top of the list. Ms. Fitzgerald, Deputy County Administrator, your first item under support services.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'd like to ask Mr. Parker to come up just in case there are any questions. And then I'll also let you know that we have MV representatives, Mr. Randy Franz and the General Manager, John Bohannon, in the audience today. Although we're not going to be talking about the MV contract specifically today, or at least it's not part of your agenda item, they are just here to monitor the conversation today about transit. So the item I have for you today is really a discussion item. As this board is aware, at the December 9th meeting, several questions and concerns were presented regarding the transit system. So I have developed a summary document that's included in your packet. The intent of this item was, one, to inform. While I recognize that many of our commissioners are very familiar with the workings of our transit system, we do have, two relatively new commissioners, so I wanted to take the opportunity to give as much information as I could about the system. I wanted to share what oversight mechanisms are currently in place. Wanted to be sure that you are all aware of the different comprehensive plans that have been developed to guide operations, and also provide you with some operational statistics for your awareness. This document also includes an actionable plan for action items that have been recently completed, are currently underway or planned, or items that are under consideration that may require additional board approval in the future. If you've looked at the item, you'll note that some of the action items are specifically focused on generating additional system income and decreasing the general fund support. We've also identified items that address the findings that were included in the Clerk's Inspector General report. Those items are noted with an asterisk. And just for further information, I did attach the management response that we provided to the auditor as part of that report. Lastly, the summary does include two alternative scenarios that we would have to do an additional deep dive and analysis for the board's consideration, and one of those I think that would take a little bit more homework would be the consideration to bring those services in-house. The other would be to study if the board wanted to eliminate the provision of fixed route and only focused on paratransit. Due to the limited amount of time between December meeting and today, I just didn't have the level of professional expertise and time that it would take to bring a detailed summary of those items to you today. So really the intent of the summary was to share with you information and those action items to help give the board more confidence that the transit system is moving in the right direction, and so that you could see those action items that we believe will result in better internal controls, oversight, and system efficiency. So certainly happy to go into the report in detail or answer any questions that you have, but I think my hope for today is either to get some level of direction that you're comfortable with us bringing forward the new contract for your consideration at a February meeting, or if we still need to roll up our sleeves and do a little bit more work, let us know what that is. And again, happy to be able to share this information with you and answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Fitzgerald. Any questions of Ms. Fitzgerald regarding the update?
One question.
Oh, go ahead.
It's up to you. It's my understanding, at least it's always been my understanding, you can't have paratransit without the fixed route because we can't separate them. I mean, the expense is too big.
I don't know that that's entirely accurate. I'm sure that there are nuances to that question relative to grant dollars. We know that our neighboring county, Santa Rosa County, only provides paratransit. So that is, again, a question that we would include in our comprehensive analysis of that option should the board direct us to do so.
I'd like to see it postponed with those kinds of questions and so forth till February. If that's okay with the chairman, that would be my recommendation.
Just to make sure.
I understood that it was going to be postponed to February anyway, but we're trying to get direction from the board on what to present in February. Is that am I off on that?
So, I mean, we certainly can do additional analysis, but if there's a comfort level with the commissioners that I have provided you with a solid plan that gives you confidence that we're on the right track, we just need to keep making improvements, then I would just ask for that concurrence today. If you are not comfortable and confident that we can continue providing the operations that we currently provide, and you really do want to see I would say a major shift in the way that we provide transit services, then I need to know that today as well.
Well, this commissioner is comfortable, but I don't know how the others feel.
Commissioner Mixon?
How did the meeting go regarding the $850,000?
So the county attorney and I have had conversations with MV, and they did provide us with an offer, but I don't know the appropriateness of talking about that in today's meeting. I would defer to Ms. Hoshihara in terms of, how we move forward with that particular discussion.
So, as Ms. Fitzgerald stated, we did meet with MV, and they have submitted a proposal for settlement that Ms. Fitzgerald and I were going to walk the halls and discuss, but I'm happy to mention it here. It's at least an offer and some discussion for settlement negotiations.
Mr. Chair, whatever your guidance is fine.
Well, and I'll obviously get into my thoughts in a minute, but only after everyone else has had their turn.
Regarding this item, are we good to discuss it openly here? Or is there
I
a
don't-
reason to wait?
If it's germane to making a decision on how to move forward, the likelihood of actually coming up with a contract with the current vendor, whether or not proceeding along the same route we've been pounding away for 20-something years,
It's absolutely-
with no difference in result, maybe I think it's worth talking about.
Absolutely important to me for moving forward with a decision to see how willing they are partners.
Then certainly this is the opportunity, Commissioner, to ask questions.
Okay. Ms. O'Shea, if you don't mind.
Certainly. So MV's proposal for settlement is that they have offered a payment of $250,000 to settle that matter over the span of the term of the new contract, which is a 5-year term. I forget the details, like amortized over the 5 years. So.
If I may continue, Mr. Chair, I'm not comfortable moving forward with an open bid without an idea of kind of an equal partnership in that. It's a big amount. I'm glad they came to 250. It's better than the 2,500 to 5,000 that sounded larger at the last meeting when we discussed it. So it is a move in the right direction. I'm just not sure that it's a far enough move. I think we're at a very unique spot as a commission operating a transit. Looking forward to that. I'm not in opposition of having transit. I'm grateful for the work that they do. Grateful for the things that they are able to accomplish for people that definitely need that. I think we're at a crossroads of how to move forward as good fiduciary stewards to see what helps people the most and is the most bang for our buck, if you will. I'm kind of disappointed in not closer to 50-50 number there. So that does make me very hesitant to say, yes, we want to re-enter in, knowing that over the last few years, as willing partners, we've changed that agreement every year. Most years paying more money than what we agreed on in the beginning for the tenure. And so I think overwhelmingly we've shown ourselves to be tremendous partners. And I don't see 250 as really coming to the table. If it's okay, I'd like to point out a couple other things. I received an email that Mr. Parker has resigned, working out a notice. Of course, that's public record. It came through my email. I see kind of three options with this that I'm concerned about. The first option, knee-jerk reaction, shut it down, don't have transit, and I don't think that's our best, most viable answer. I like to offer the service to folks. The second is I'm very concerned that with Mr. Parker's resignation, we're going to be seeking new leadership. We're going to be going after a contract at the same time, and we're going to be looking in the direction to say who can look over federal grants associated with transportation, who can be a direct supervisor, because we know that's not a standalone department. He's a manager. He's not a department head. And so we have a manager going straight to an assistant or deputy county administrator. And so we're missing a level there as well. I over time, been kicking this around that maybe it's time we do an adjustment there organizationally, and we lean on our county administrator to probably look within to a department that does have a lot of other transportation responsibilities. They have a very specific financial oversight department that's doing a tremendous job. They have leaders that have been in a pipeline stepping forward. And potentially we move transit in the direction of a transportation department that has multiple managers, giving us the opportunity of seeing that as a department that has their own financial oversight,
that's used to dealing with federal grants, that's used to servicing people as customers, and potentially merging this in or adding this in to our airport structure, and seeing the potential of our airports director take on a manager that oversees transit. That'll put the layer of organization that needs to be there for accountability, that'll put that layer within the route, and it'll give us another set of very well-trained, very well-performing eyes fiscally to be able to see how this goes forward. My concern with bringing it up now is now we have an open bid, we have an unknown future, and we have a need to replace leadership. That's probably the precursors to a perfect storm to see this go incredibly bad or incredibly good, depending on the decisions we make. And unfortunately, we're pressed for time, and so it's something we have to discuss publicly like this. And we can't do one-on-ones with just staff to say, how do we achieve this together, because the law prevents us from talking together, except for formats like this. I'll stop now, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Cox?
I think Commissioner Mixon brings forward some very, very astute observations, and I like the idea. I'm not sure how it would play out, the technicalities and the logistics of it, but I certainly like the idea of using people who have already demonstrated, above average performance in the transportation industry to house this internally, if we were going to house this internally. And the other part of it is that I fear, as is usually the case when somebody beloved withdraws from an organization, that there will be additional attrition accompanied to that, and at a time when certainly we would be at our most vulnerable. It is a shame to lose you, Tyrone. We will miss you. But in addition to that, I fear that we're going to miss, several others who may follow, not out of disloyalty to the county, but rather, just because you never know how many people in an organization are there, still staying there, past a retirement age or past a will to want to continue service, just because they, admire the leadership and enjoy the leadership that they're working under. So those would be my concerns, but and actually those would be in support of, housing that internally. And I think it's not a bad opportunity if we have the means to pull it off.
One statement of clarification. I wasn't leaning one way or the other as far as operating in-house. We don't fly any airplanes, but we do a great job with our relationships of contractors.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that clarification, Commissioner Mixon. I was a little concerned that we were moving a little fast on that, but I do appreciate the, I do think that we are moving in the right direction. I do think that there's a lot of, things that can be improved, but I do, your points are well taken as far as whether this should be part of a larger department, something that's more well supported, giving structure. Of course, all of that takes time. My concern is where we stand contractually. How do we continue to operate as we're going through this transition, especially given that the results of the transition are sort of unknown at this point as to how it will affect the department or how it will affect the vendor, and the impacts are unknown. And so I just that's my only concern. I think you're right. I do appreciate that that they are moving toward a I do appreciate the $250,000 offer. I do understand that there's a fiscal responsibility that we have here to make sure that we get the best deal for the taxpayers. I also understand the circumstances in which we find ourselves, may limit some of our ability to claw back some of that, some of those funds, just based on the way that things transpired. And so anyways, I'm conflicted a little bit about that, because I do think that that there's a lot of good work going on and we are moving in the right direction. But your points as far as moving into a larger department are well taken. I do think that there is quite a bit of structure and sort of top coverage that comes with that sort of construct, and I would be supportive of that. I just wonder how, again, I love sunshine too. It makes us make the sausage in public sometimes, and so I would like to hear thoughts on how that would progress. What sort of timeline would we be looking at, and sort of what the end state might look like.
If that was a question.
It's for discussion. I mean, those are my questions. Yes.
Why don't we let Commissioner Ketchel go, and then if you want to answer questions, that'll be perfect.
So bringing it in-house, it has its own set of issues, and that would be something that Mr. Hofstad would have to work with his staff. I don't know that it would be fair to give it to Mr. Stage, although he's done a fabulous job with a 3-airport system. That in itself is huge to run. But perhaps bringing it in-house is a good option, but not necessarily under the airport system. So it sounds like Ms. Fitzgerald and Mr. Hofstad have their work cut out for them, because it sounds like there's a lot of options that have been discussed and on the table here. And we're right in the center of going, is it month to month with the contract at this point? Plus, we've lost our wonderful leader, Tyrone. I can't believe you're leaving us, but you've done a great job for us, and I've enjoyed working with you immensely. And I know what it's like not to have good leadership. So we've got to find somebody, if that's going to happen, to run it in-house. So those are all reasons probably why we need to ask staff to maybe table this and come back to us with some answers, with some thoughts. That's where I would go with it anyway, because we don't have the solution in front of us today. And unfortunately, the Sunshine Law keeps us from all sitting down and really talking about how we could go with this. So we have to talk with our staff and let them figure things out. So that's where I'd go.
Thanks. Just to reiterate, I wasn't suggesting necessarily taking transit in-house. I wasn't writing it off, but that was not my push on the table. It was more the idea of the administrative structure, or the accountability structure that we have, to be able to not have a manager directly, his direct approach to a deputy administrator, but to place them within a department. And we have a department that has these expertise already. And so we would have to enhance administratively in that department, of course, but to be able to have a proper organizational run that has some leverage of accountability.
Thank you for that clarification. Because I think I could probably say right now I would be against bringing it in-house. However, that's a lot of work and a lot of just a huge change. But bringing the management structure in line with maybe the rest of the county, I think is a good idea.
And for the two fairly new commissioners, what Commissioner Mixon's proposing is not unprecedented. There was a time where transit was under growth management, the current growth management department, and then it was taken out and a direct report to the county administration. So rather than going back to growth management, you're proposing it be under the airports, right?
Further comments?
One last thought, if we did bring it in-house, the cost analysis of insuring employees and so forth, it might be cost prohibitive, because MV has had their own insurance program, and I don't know, there's just a lot that the staff would have to look at back and forth and then come back to us and let us know.
I don't think it's a good idea to go in-house, if that's what was received.
I don't either, but, I'm at the will of the board.
But, we could review the cost and see.
And I was here when we had a miserable situation with transportation, and Mr. Parker brought sanity to it, and so did MV. So I know what it could look like and what it has looked like.
So to be clear, to make sure that we're all on the same page, we all agree that this is something that would be best managed by the employees that we already have, or someone that the airport's administration could identify as most appropriate for managing this contract, or another contract in its place moving forward. Yes? Do we agree on that?
That would be a Mr. Hofstad question.
Okay.
Do we agree, John?
Well, gosh. Fortunately, I have the
benefit of 11 years sitting in this role and seeing where transit was 11 years ago, which was an in-house operation on a much smaller scale. Management was adequate, to say the best, it was an in-house operation with in-house staff, but we were growing. We were trying to grow fixed routes, and there was a need to transition to a contract operation. The other complicating issue was, as this board knows, it's a multi-million-dollar operation, mostly FTA grant funded by the federal government with some pass-through money from the state. Our goal has always been to limit the general fund contribution to shore up transit. And you limit general fund contribution, and in some cases you sacrifice staff in that process, because we've tried to tap into federal transit dollars to augment and supplement the staff that we have. To the board's point, do you get more economies of scale? Do you get more benefit if you can broaden that staff scope and you can bring in additional staff from another department to monitor all the many financial aspects of running a transit system? Certainly you can do that. It certainly wouldn't be my recommendation, knowing the history of where we were a decade ago, of trying to acquire all the necessary staff to run a transit operation on the scale that we run that transit operation today. That would be more suitable to a contract operation, which is what we have now. But to the Commission's discussion here today, can we bring that back to you in some type of supplemental in-house operation as it relates to all of the administrative aspects of it, and still manage a contract operation? Certainly we can do that. That's not something I can figure out in the next week or so. You're going to have to give us a little bit of time to pull all that together and bring that back to the board, is what that would look like going forward. But so, yeah, when we're talking multi-million-dollar operation and we're pumping $200,000 in general fund dollars, and I know Tyrone's done an outstanding job since he's been here in 2019 versus what we had before. But in trying to limit that general fund impact, we're doing the best we can, but understand there are some federal matches with the federal dollars that flow in. There's not enough fare box dollars that come in that cover that offset. So it requires, to a limited extent, some general fund contribution to keep that operation going. We're going to continue to try and do that, because I believe that's the direction of the board, is you want limited general fund dollars going in to support this operation.
So I feel like we're answering two different questions here, but correct me if I'm wrong, the rest of the board, since we're, as Drew called it, making sausage in public. I didn't understand that there was an appetite to pull it in-house from an operational standpoint. Is that incorrect?
That's not the feeling I'm getting from the discussion from the board today. Okay. But there is a significant operational change that you're debating here today, which is taking the operation as it stands today with the limited staffing resources we have, and moving that operation under the umbrella of another department that has the depth of resource to be able to supplement what is going on there now and have a different set of eyes on it, to ensure that you're sacrificing federal dollars if we don't do this right. Mm-hmm. And that is a thing we've done well in the last several years, is we've done it right because we've passed all our FDA audits. And is it a bad thing to have additional eyes on that to ensure that process continues to run smoothly? Absolutely not. It's just working out the mechanics of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Anything else?
Yes, sir. The current extension goes through the end of February. Is there, not to put eminence on you, Mr. Hofstad, but the current extension goes through the end of February. That's coming quick. My concern with that is MV willing to extend beyond that, or are we going to debate it until the end of February and then be without?
I can do my best to bring something back to this board at your next meeting. Outside of that, you need to give us a chance to talk to MV to see if there's an appetite to go month to month to give us adequate time to bring a good product back to you. Because that's what I don't want to do, is bring something back that's incomplete. We agreed to new contract terms, and then I'm having to constantly come back to this board with amendments, and I don't want to do that, if at all possible.
Thank you. All right. Other discussion or input before I kind of weigh in with my thoughts?
The only other thing I would say is, in terms of their offer, we can counteroffer and say, well, look, we expect you to go halfway. And I think that's reasonable. I really do. So I don't know how you feel about that, Chairman, but that would be my thought.
I mean, and Commissioner's correct. I mean, we have the, I don't think it was this is your offer and go pound sand. I think there's the opportunity to counter if that's what the board ends up wanting to do. So I think Commissioner's correct in that. Other comments before I kind of weigh in on my thoughts? All right, so this is kind of where I am on it. I think we've got, we are at potentially, this juncture. Well, we're at this juncture. It's not in potential. It's here. It's upon us. We had kind of the culmination of two things that came up at the same time that are forcing this discussion. One of those is the renewal of the contract for the transit services, and then, of course, the report, the audit from the Inspector General's office that found what I consider to be a substantial amount of money that is in dispute that we think was improperly spent. So, it kind of begs the question, how does that happen? And I hear what some commissioners are saying about, wow, we used to, once upon a time, way back at the beginning of time when Commissioner Ketchel and I started here, we came to a board that had a transit system that, as the administrator was talking about, I think it was really operated by Elder Services through OTC, which it wasn't necessarily county employees, but they were local employees, and it was Elder Services, and they were very well-meaning people and trying to do the best they could, and their focus was really the paratransit and trying to get, senior citizens to their doctor's appointments and facilities, and I understood all that. And the fixed route was kind of a byproduct. And, we went through some transitions after that and some different operators, and before Mr. Parker got here, it had gotten really bad on the paratransit side. And, a lot of those complaints subsided in the years after Mr. Parker got here. And I think it's because we'd finally got an operator that was running more routes more consistently, and we weren't getting as many complaints on these paratransit trips. But what the Inspector General's report has revealed to us is that the only way we can fix it is to throw money at it. It was the only way to fix it, and that's what happened. We just were blissfully enjoying not having our email boxes filled up with complaints, had no idea what we were spending all this money. And I don't think anything was done intentionally nefarious. I just think we didn't follow the protocol properly with all the levels that we're supposed to follow. Hence, we got dinged by a report, which we should. But that presents us with this opportunity to do something about it, and not just to go back and get the $850. Yes, we should try to get as much of the $850,000 back for our citizens as we can. But that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is where do we go from here? And I can tell you that of all the input that I've had about the system, the number one demand is paratransit. And I say this anecdotally because I don't have full data, but I can tell you, based on complaints that I get from people and my own observations, and you can ask Mr. Ofsted and you can ask Ms. Hoshihara, I call them all the time when I observe these situations. The buses on the fixed route have anemic ridership. They're not used. The fixed route is something the federal government has put around our neck and said, you will bear this yoke because we said so. And we've been doing it for probably 20-something years.
But just because the federal government funds most of it and then says ye shall do it, doesn't make it any less government waste. The fixed route buses, read my lips, it's government waste. And I am not going to serve one more year on this board and vote in favor of it. But I recognize the paratransit is critical to a very significant portion of our population who has needs. It's both special needs and it's senior citizens primarily. And there's others. And I think that there is a way to focus on paratransit and get rid of the buses. Santa Rosa County did it, so we're not reinventing the wheel here. They've already done it. And yes, there's probably a cost component. And one of the things that I asked for in the last meeting, and I understand staff's probably working on it, somebody says you can't get out of it because you've cut a deal with the federal government. You've cut a deal with the federal government. You're stuck in transit, and from now until the end of time, in the way that they want you stuck. Well, that's not exactly true. It just means if you want out, there's a cost. I need to see if I say no more fixed route tomorrow. Okay, what's the bill for that? And how can I pay for it? Maybe I can pay for it. Maybe I can get out of a government waste perpetual failed deal, pay my way out, and get my product and my program where it needs to be. And I'm willing to do it. But I am not, but if we sign another agreement for another contract, we're just going to get stuck again. And yes, someday this will just be some other commissioners in the future's problem to deal with, which is how we got it. But I think now, because of the culmination of those things, we can do something about it. I would very much support rolling the program under another enterprise department, like airports. I see Mr. Stage in the back. He hasn't run out the door yet, so maybe there's a chance. I don't think, and I think staff needs to know this, I personally do not support backfilling Mr. Parker's position. I understand that he has decided to go and, pursue another opportunity, and I understand that, and and of course we wish him well. Again, and I've said from day one, I don't blame him. We hired him to deal with a failed program that was failing before he ever got here. And so I don't blame him. In some ways I feel like it was going to ever be hard to turn it around because we were just doing the same thing over and over. So I think, personally, my direction to staff would be don't backfill that position. We need to be look at reorging this. And then I would want to know, how do I get out of the fixed route buses? The only exception to getting out of the fixed route buses in my mind is if this rolls under airports and Tracy Stage tells me how he can put people in buses and make it work, because he doesn't fly empty planes. I know that. And he doesn't come and ask me for general fund dollars either. I know that. So if he can run the buses in his department, I'd be fine with it. If he says no, but I can make the paratransit work and make sure that we're getting people around, fine. But otherwise, to me, to continue running the empty fixed route buses is inexcusable, and I won't be a part of it. So I don't mean to get on my soapbox, but I mean, and I say this as really I'm speaking for all the people who have beat me over the head with it at Publix, at Republican Club meetings, at church, at, in the parking lot, at the store, anywhere else that people have called and said, what are you doing with these buses? Here's a picture of an empty bus. It's because people don't want to get on them, because nobody wants to go to work and then try to get on the bus to go home from work, but they got to wait 2 hours after quitting time. It doesn't make sense. The paratransit is a different thing, but the federal government is the one that has saddled us by tying these things together. And I think it's been unfair. It's been unfair to the boards, prior boards. It's been unfair to the citizens who are having to supplement it. And frankly, it's unfair to the people who actually need the paratransit, because it is ludicrous to suggest that these people that really need to get to these different appointments for health care need to stand out there under a bus awning waiting on a bus. It's ludicrous. In theory, it could work, maybe in a highly dense populated area,
But we're not. As the sheriff pointed out earlier, we're a bifurcated county. You've got Eglin Air Force Base in between the two ends. It's just not going to work. We're not just one giant city. Anyway, I appreciate everyone's indulgence. I understand I've got the gavel, so you kind of had to listen for this diatribe. But I just wanted to share my thoughts. I'm not against at all Commissioner Mixon's concept, but to include the buses in it would only be with that caveat that we had a leader come forward in that department that said, here's how I can make it work. Show me the pro forma. Otherwise, kill it. I mean, that's a business decision.
And there's a pseudo-economic impact with that could be mixed in well with an enterprise fund that I think would give an opportunity. There may be reasons now that the airport is paying for buses. I mean, there's some revenue there that may be cross-capable.
Chairman, may I ask Mr. Parker a question, please?
Sure, and I think he's here ready to
Yeah, since
speak.
you're the expert and know so much.
I wouldn't say expert, but.
Yeah. So it has always been my understanding, I just said this to Ms. Fitzgerald, that we had to have the buses in order to receive the federal grant money for paratransit. Is that correct?
There are some.
Enlighten us, please.
There are some grants that require, if you have fixed route service or you receive fixed route funding, you have to have a complement for paratransit service. But there are some funding that does not require fixed route service. But as Ms. Fitzgerald indicated, like I said, give us opportunity to research that further, and we'll be glad to bring that forward.
I think that's what the chairman is asking. And, that we do have empty buses running, but the medical appointments mostly are paratransit. Am I correct?
That is correct, yes,
And
ma'am.
it's the blind and disabled that often use the bus routes to get to Publix or even the base or whatever. Am
Yes,
I
ma'am.
correct?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
So I know we all see the empty buses a lot because we understand that, but we want to make sure that we do provide at least medical services for dialysis and that kind of thing, and that's the paratransit, right?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct, yes, ma'am.
Oh, but Mr. Parker, isn't it, paratransit is also available for people with disabilities, isn't it not, if they're transportation disadvantaged?
That is correct. So we offer two, like I said, a client can qualify on the transit disadvantage. They can qualify on the paratransit under ADA as well through FTA.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
sir.
in other words, you don't have to only be going to a medical appointment to be able to use the paratransit, correct?
That's correct, under transit disadvantage. But
Right.
you can qualify under, for as economic, or if you don't have a form of transportation, you can qualify under transit disadvantage.
So I just want to point out that, the fixed route won't necessarily, even if that went away, that doesn't mean that someone who's vision impaired can't get services through the system through the paratransit.
I really hate that we're losing your institutional knowledge. Plus, as Mr. Goodwin said, it was a disaster when we first came here, Chairman Goodman. We both struggled with it, and at that point, we had, a certain amount coming out of the budget, and you've just done wonderful things, matched it so much. So we'll see where we go with this, but I don't know if Mr. Stage really wants to bring it under the airport. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't made a face back there.
Mr. Parker, if I may. Chairman, so I understood you to say that that currently if we are accepting what is the regular transit, not paratransit?
Fixed route?
Fixed route. If we are accepting the fixed route money, federal dollars, then we must provide paratransit. But what we're really wanting to know is the paratransit money attached to the fixed route money?
Yes, ma'am. There are some funding, like I said, that Okaloosa County currently receives now. If you provide fixed route service, you have to provide a complimentary paratransit service, and that's under ADA.
Right, but as long as we provide the paratransit service, I mean, is that reciprocally tied to the fixed route service? You have to provide fixed route service, or?
It all depends on that particular funding that we receive.
Okay.
And like I said, again, we will have to research that, like I said, but again,
Then
it all
you guys
depends.
will prepare that for us and
Yes,
present
ma'am.
it to us
Yes,
for
ma'am.
review. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Appreciate
ma'am.
that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and Mr. Parker, I'm sorry, I have one, maybe Ms. Fitzgerald can answer this as well. So the ridership, annual ridership of the fixed route service, do you have just a number off the top of your head? Or
Thank you. Yes, sir. Like I said, for 2025, our fixed route service was a little under $45,000.
45,000. Okay.
Oh, sorry, not thousand, excuse me. 45,000 trips, I'm sorry.
45,000 trips.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And so I would say, you know, I am not a diabetic. I've never had to use insulin, but it is a life-saving thing for those who need it. I would say that those who need the fixed route services, it is something that connects them to the rest of the community, and it is something that I think is sort of one of the safety nets that, you know, I know there's some disagreement on this board, but it's one of those things that I think there's a safety net, social safety net for those who need it. One of them being Mr. Fuller, who has expressed that he uses that to get to our meetings and speak to us each meeting. So to participate just even in the, you know, in the politics of local politics or whatever, some people use it for that. They use it for library services. They use it for grocery shopping. They use it for all these things that, you know, again, I've never had the need to use it, but I know that those who do use it rely upon it, and so I do think it's a very important service. I would also like to just, and I know the answer to this, but wasn't the finding from the IG inspection, the money that we, you know, are trying to recoup at this point was tied directly to the paratransit services, deadhead hours for that service. And you know, again, just as we, you know, I know that we're not really talking about bringing the operation of the transit services in-house, but I would just submit to this board that if we did, we would be paying those deadhead hours anyways with our staff, their hours that they would be working, because we're paying them while they're on the clock. And so I just, you know, I think that there's a lot of mitigating sort of factors here as we discuss this. And and then, you know, finally, the one other thing, I know that you guys, this is something you're working on, but there's a cost to disentanglement, right? So when we're talking about the paratransit services, the fixed route services, if we discontinue the fixed route services, we've got assets that we would have to divest of. There's just a lot of complications there, and I know that that's what takes time to put that sort of number together. I'm not against looking at that, but I don't know that that gets us into any better of a situation where we're coming out of general fund by about $250,000 a year. I don't know that that saves us any money. In fact, that may cost us quite a bit of money. And while we're, you know, in my one man's opinion, doing a disservice to the most needy in our county.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, sorry.
Please.
Not to prolong this as we've been doing with talking, but it's good for us to have this discussion. And I'm glad it's not a workshop, because at least we can talk through stuff and be able to do something. But I don't want us to we see neighbors overstep as commissions and diminish the value of an administrator. And we have a great administrator, and I want to be sure that he has his ample time to discuss this. I would like to know if in this process, if it would save time for me to ask Mr. Stage if, as an airport, do they pay buses for things now? Because that would give us a pretty wide open answer of whether or not there may be some availability for the future. But at the same time, if Mr. Hosted would rather have those conversations throughout the course of the week, I'm perfectly willing to wait until the next meeting.
And I did ask Sheila to go ahead and have an update for us. Part of the reason was the time that everybody's mentioned. And so, of course, Mr. Ofsted can speak to your specific question, Commissioner, but I do think that while we can't necessarily come to a final decision today, we've got to lay out some framework for staff, because we're on a fast train towards the end of February, and we got to do something. And staff's got to know what direction they're going. So that's really what I was hoping to accomplish, is to get some broad framework discussion, which I think we've done, but ultimately I think staff's going to have some direction. We don't have to work out all the nuts and bolts today, I don't think. So, Mr. Ofsted, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, and, you know, commissioners, we haven't had the benefit of having this discussion before now, so a lot of what we've talked about today, we've been hit cold with. And I really need the opportunity to talk to the department directors and have a better understanding of fit and how we can make this thing work if this is in fact the board's direction. So I can have those conversations with Tracy and report back to the board as to, if he is currently running bus routes as part of the airport and that's an airport cost, is this an opportunity where we could utilize a transit service to offset that cost, which, obviously a robust enterprise fund can afford that. So there might be some cost savings there. I don't know, and I don't know that Tracy knows that off the top of his head right now, and so we probably need a little time to research that.
If I could, Chairman, just one more comment. Within your summary, it does have the statistics for paratransit and fixed route. And while I acknowledge that, fixed route seems to be decreasing year over year, for 2024, there were more fixed route trips than there were paratransit. And then we did see a shift in that in 2025. And so I understand this board always takes all of the information in before they make a decision, but I would just hesitate to move quickly in the direction of eliminating fixed route. I feel certain that once this is out in the media, perhaps you may start to hear from those people who do ride the fixed route system. I know in the middle of the day we do see a lot of empty buses because they're just not peak times that people are traveling, to work. But we certainly, as identified in this summary, if the board continues fixed route, we do need to do a better job in the public outreach and engagement and making sure that the public is aware that this is a reliable system for work trips. And the last thing that I'll say, and this is just one idea for your consideration. I understand, Commissioner Goodwin, your commitment to making a decision and not passing this on to a future board. But one potential item that the board may wish to consider, and this would of course need to be after consideration with MV, is potentially, instead of entering into a 5-year agreement, could we consider an interim 1-year agreement maybe while we do this extensive look at these different options?
Let me ask you one other piece of data that I would love to have that I don't know if we collect or have a way to quantify it, but I'd love to have it. And I think it is doable. I just don't know if we've been collecting it. I'd love to know how many vacant seat miles we have run in buses in this county in the past 12 months. Vacant seat miles run. I'd love to know.
We'll look into it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
That we task staff with seeking a 6-month extension with MV to include part of that discussion, a counter offer of the $250, but also relaying a value to them being willing participants to give us a 6-month extension. Next, I would like to, within that motion, have staff explore moving transit to within the airport department, but as a transportation department. So knowing that will come with other positions that have to be realigned if we're adding more to the plate there.
All right.
And be able to come back to us in a timely manner.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I will second with an amendment, if you will, for an attempt at countering for 400. I mean, I think it's more than fair for us to accept the lion's share of the load on the $875,000 over expenditure, and still have a partner who is fully vested here and accountable. I would accept that motion. I would second that motion with that amendment, at least at the attempt at a counter for 400.
If I may answer, my only fear with that is we have to show value to their willingness to give a 6-month extension. We're really crunched to have one more month of this. And so there's got to be a value monetarily to them to give us a 6-month extension, and it may cost us a little more than being able to meet at the 400 mark or higher. And so I want to give the leverage or the freedom for Ms. Fitzgerald and Mr. Hofstad, Ms. Hoshihara, as they discuss this with MV and move forward to be able to show something where they're not feeling like we're asking for their money on such a short extension, but but keeping the conversation moving forward for them to continue in operation, specifically while we go through this transition, and then seeing what's in the future.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, hang on. Do you keep your second with the motion maker's clarification?
Sure.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All right.
I'd like to
Commissioner
make a friendly amendment suggestion, and that is that I like what you're saying about the 6-month with MV, but why don't we ask Mr. Hofstad as the county administrator, so we don't put Mr. Stage on the spot, to sort of work this out and come back to us with that second part. That's a thought I have.
The reason I said that is because in time, we still have a manager position that's going to need to be refilled. And I think the imminence of time puts us where now we're taking our administrator and deputy administrator to be the ones refilling that before it's potentially passed on. And so I'm just concerned that we're putting extra work on them for someone that's going to be working for someone else within the line of organization.
All right, so the friendly amendment's not accepted as stated. The motion stands with a motion and a second. Further discussion? All right, those in favor signal by saying aye. Those opposed? All right, that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Ketchel in opposition. All right, hopefully, Mr. Hofstad, that'll give you some direction.
Yes, sir.
You have a very scientific and artful way combined of taking the direction of 5 people who all think they know what they're talking about and making sense of it. So thank you for that.
I will take that explanation. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Fitzgerald, Mr. Parker, thank you for answering questions on the fly. I know you prepped for it, but we definitely slung some fastballs at you, so thank you for that.
Mr. Chair, I apologize. Commissioner Ketchel, we voted on this, so I can't talk to you about it outside of here, but would you give me the name that you'd like added to that resolution for the other DAR group?
Yeah, I gave it to Mr. Fountain, but it is West Florida DAR.
Okay, thank you.
It's the other chapter group.
And what's the leadership role that you'd like appointed there? Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Just one of the committees that's appointed to be on there, just like the chairman. Yeah. No, the regent will be Choctaw
The regent?
Bay. No, the regent will be, they've already agreed. Choctaw Bay wants to be the regent wants to be the vice chair.
Okay.
Yeah, just a representative from West Florida.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Jeff Peters. Parks. Yes, Mr. Parks.
That's right.
He wears it well.
Thank you. Yes, before you this afternoon is a pay-to-park services that was brought up at a number of months ago at a board meeting for discussion. The staff has done some research. It is more of a discussion period today to bring back a procurement of a vendor. As you can imagine, there's all different types of avenues you can go down with this. Mainly, we were looking at a beta program in some of the beach access parking lots, the Beasley parking lot, some of the boat launch areas with the boat trailer parking. Pensacola does something similar. Destin does, even the military park there on the beach on Okaloosa Island. So there's a few different options out there, mainly that as an organization, kind of there's all-inclusive pay-to-park services that allow you to set the rates at what you want, who you charge. If you want residents to be no charge, different types of months. The winter months, if you want it to be low cost or even free in the winter months, you can do that. They're set up to be no upfront cost mainly. Kind of a split revenue type system with them. So there's a lot of different avenues you could go. So really today we're looking for direction from the board on moving forward with the pay-to-park system, and we would bring a procurement with a vendor back at a later date with some of those options for you.
And before we open up to other questions, just to clarify, so at this point, you're just asking for direction whether to move forward. you'll come back before we officially say we want to go under contract with somebody, kind of give us the parameters that you've been able to explore and give us the different options of what's available.
Correct. We would bring back, and there, like I said, there's different neighboring organizations and cities and counties that have utilized a parking service, have done through the bidding award and awarded those. So we have looked into those, and bringing on one of those, we would bring back with all the different options that would be best for Okaloosa County.
Okay.
Make a motion for approval?
All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion?
Yeah, just real quick, Mr. Chairman. So we're not at this point talking about the different things that we would like to see in this. We're just saying, hey, we just move forward with and bringing something back to the board. Okay.
We've given you some guidelines in the staff report that we're going to try to adhere to, if those are okay, or if you have anything to add or take away from them.
Right. And I did read through those, and so I was just going to say I'm very much in favor of making sure that we limit the charging on parking, like to the non-residents of the county. I would like it to be free to county residents.
Same.
Yep. And we did. The staff heard that loud and clear on the initial discussions on that, so we would bring that recommendation back.
Further discussion on this item, Mr. Cox? No? Okay. Thanks for bringing this back. I do like the parameters you've laid out. I mean, obviously, you've laid out some of the hot spot areas you would be looking at parking. We wouldn't be talking about every neighborhood park or anything like that by any means. And if you're able to leverage technology to provide residents the ability to sign up with their phone or some type of technology where they can just avoid having to incur that expense, that would be great. Honestly, I'll just say I'm really intrigued with this whole concept because I have looked at sister jurisdictions and seen some of the revenues they bring in. I honestly think that this could help offset some of the property tax burden that we put on our unincorporated citizens to pay the special parks tax that they pay. This could help offset some of that. May not eliminate it, but it could certainly help offset it and reduce that burden on our property taxpayers. So thanks for looking at that. Anyone else further discussion? Okay. Those in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed? All right. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right. That brings us to our continued and additional public comments. I have two cards for public comment. The first is Steve Perry.
Again, I'm going to continue some various subjects, so bear with me if I sort of ramble a little bit. Again, lots of things about the ship, and of course this is about the ship and everything. Even though on the record you guys said, or Trey, you actually said the only other option we saved the ship was scrapping. That's not true. For 45 years, the ship has been privately owned, and for 55 years it's been out of service. It's sat around. How would you imagine if this courthouse had sat here for 55 years with no maintenance and no nothing, but nobody wanted to tear it down, but you paid the rent on the land or the property taxes? I mean, this ship has survived, and it can continue to survive. There's nothing wrong with that, but there are development plans in place for something. People have been trying this for a long time. They just, ill-sighted on some of the stuff. But that's for another date and another time. But the whole time in Philly, the rent was paid in full on time. The only happened here was a rent dispute over, wanting to raise it because someone from Philliport wanted the ship out. Basically, that's it. That's what drove this whole thing. Otherwise, the Conservancy would still own the ship. With that said, about the board's meeting of the 9th of December and everything, back in September, it was talked about, addressing by 3 board members, testing for different stuff and everything like that. 4.5 months and no public, no acknowledgement that you've done any testing. You may have done it quietly. You don't have to share it with us and everything like that in a public format, but has any testing been done about zinc chromate? Has anything been addressed with that? Relating to the PCBs that I talked about briefly. Yes, the report that was out a year ago tomorrow is a summary report that just identifies stuff. And again, I told you I participated in one of them and did a lot of the sampling and everything like that. But with that, there's many things that it didn't identify, because at that time, the one I was involved in, this entity was going to clear everything up and clean it all up. So I'll give you a brief rundown of things that might not be looked at that you need to consider. And I apologize if I ramble on. Electric motors of all kinds, feed pumps, valves of all kinds containing asbestos, flexitaric acid, steering gear rams containing rubber seals, line shaft bearings with rubber seals, chlorinating tanks, feed water, hotel service heating tanks, fuel or heating tanks, low pressure contaminated heme systems, and generators. 8 massive boilers containing refractory asbestos and insulation, as well as other things that goes all the way up from bottom to top. Fan rooms that have things, as I said, all electric motors, service and cargo refrigeration equipment, air compressors, all of these containing rubbers and stuff. They all contain PCBs. I don't know if you're taking them out, but there's a numerous of it. And this is just scratching the tip of the iceberg, basically. And again, you have to be an understanding of it. This is completely, this kind of stuff is not found on your small boats you've been sinking as reefs. This is something completely different. And that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking you guys need to ask those questions about. With that said, I would like to just say in one follow-up to the commissioner, last time I'm allowed to speak as a public comment. Last time I was criticized by your safety director, and I'm not allowed. I have to direct my comments to you. And I thought that was very inappropriate that someone criticized me for speaking my right as a public citizen on any, as Mixon's always said, you're allowed to speak on any subject for 3 minutes. I questioned, or I'll ask the board, if I've said anything that's a lie, as I was implied I was lying, please challenge me and point out where I'm telling you something that's false, because that is not true. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Carlos Camacho Jr.
Hello again. I want to address the historic preservation concerns associated with the SS United States and correct several procedures issues that directly affect the federal review, including this arising from the December 9th presentation referenced in my earlier comments. During that presentation, Mr. Fogg, your natural resource manager, stated that being on the National Register of Historic Places doesn't provide protections to being scrapped or being sunk as an artificial reef or anything like that unless it was owned by the federal government. That statement is incorrect. Under federal law, National Register eligibility is exactly what triggers Section 106 review. It requires federal agencies to identify adverse effects, consult with stakeholders, and consider alternatives before any reversible action is taken. Your natural resource manager also described major physical alterations to the SS United States as if they were routine or already authorized. He referenced cutting large holes throughout the hull and decks and removing smokestacks. He further described preparations for sinking if approval was already guaranteed. These statements don't align with federal requirements. Under Section 106, no irreversible alterations to historic property may occur before consultation is complete. Cutting holes in the hull or the deck and removing character-defining features such as funnels are all adverse effects under 36 CFR 800.5. When these actions occur during active consultation, they raise serious concerns under Section 110K, which prohibits anticipatory demolition undertaken to avoid or predetermine the outcome of federal review. As part of Section 106 process, I have reviewed the federal documentation in the photographic record. Significant structural removals and alterations have already occurred during the SS United States during active consultation, including removal of major character-defining features that we spoke about. These things are important because these are not theoretical. They're currently being examined by federal agencies as part of the ongoing review. Any finding or anticipatory demolition can jeopardize federal approvals, delay the project, or require corrective action. If additional alterations occur during active consultation, the county may be held responsible for resulting adverse effects under federal law, including any corrective actions required by reviewing agencies. I want to just also talk about some of the comments that were made in this room by some of the commissioners here, and I want to applaud you because you guys spoke about a lot of good things. Mr. Chairman, you spoke about, the due diligence of making sure that you represent the people and that they're not inheriting problems in the future, including anybody who chairs the commission going forward. Ms. Ketchel, you also spoke about America 250. I mean, you're in a position right now, and where you guys hold value in an historic vessel that literally represents 30% of our nation's 250 years of American maritime heritage. And what you do in this matter right now, whether you review the environmental aspects of things or the historical significant aspects of things, just like our forefathers 250 years ago paved the way for America, you guys stand on the legacy that you're building right now in those chairs. Whatever you put on record here and what you do behind voting, that will be remembered in Okaloosa County. So I urge you guys to like you guys were talking about, let's have the discussion. Let's have the public format where we can, sit down and talk. I had put agenda item request to have Dr. Todd Osborne's video played. It was a 10-minute video. I did that before traveling all the way here from New Jersey. That's how important this is. And I haven't received a response yet. So at the end of the day, if you guys review that and we have public engagement, I think we could find something that will financially benefit the county while not destroying a historic asset and also leaving a legacy that is going to be tied to America 250. And your legacies will be tied to that as well. But thank you very much for letting me talk. And I open any, if you want to have a conversation, that's great too.
All right. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to address the board before we close the final public comment portion of the meeting? All right. I don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll close that. That'll bring us to our commissioner's minute. Commissioner Ketchel.
Just quickly, the June 12th event that we usually have in our Veterans Park, we will not have it this year because the park's under renovation. It will be held on November 11th, probably at 8 or 9 in the morning, so we can avoid some of the other community events that happen that same day. So November 11th, Veterans Day, 8 or 9 in the morning.
Very good. Commissioner Palmer?
Nothing more from me. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Nixon?
Yes, sir. Can't wait till we sink the SS United States, and I potentially get to go dive it or at least fish above it. The next thing is, I noticed here today the Eubanks have driven over and sat through the meeting. Thank you for that, and thanks for driving over and meeting with me the other day. I thank you for the partners that you are, for the substantial improvements that you've done to the place that you lease from the county, and I understand that's coming up on a very soon agenda, and so can't wait for that to happen. But thank you for sitting through the Okaloosa County Commission meeting today.
Commissioner Cox?
I wanted to reiterate the thank you to the Eubanks. They've been sitting, this is a long meeting to sit through, and we sure appreciate your investment in our county and how it runs. And I wanted to applaud the tenacity of our visitors from other parts of the state and country regarding the SSUS. And at the same time, reiterate and underscore our team's ability and tenacity in exploring all avenues to make sure that this ship is a safe vessel to sink for our citizens and for our visitors alike. And I wanted to underscore also, having worked with the EPA before on similar remediation efforts, that they are extremely competent, and I say that as fondly as possible. They explore these things with such vigor that I have zero question whether or not the SSUS is going to be safe when she is finally sunken for the enjoyment of our citizens and our visitors alike. Thank you so much for coming.
All right, thank you. I'll use my minute just to say thanks to everyone who was able to come out for the ribbon cutting at Brigadier General Bud Day Park over off Highway 98 going out towards One Haven Beach. Probably a lot of folks didn't know about that park, but it is really a beautiful example of what a community park can look like. Commissioner Ketchel was able to join as well as Commissioner Mixon, and I'd recommend all our commissioners get out there, take a look if you get a chance, not just to visit the park and what it is, but also into our community to kind of see what a community park can look like with with modern, relevant, recreational facilities, as well as safety and security, fencing, electronic locks on bathrooms, all the neat things that we were able to do out there to just make it a really great venue for our constituents and our visitors to come and use. And so, obviously, Mr. Peters came in with to the helm in the Parks Department and was able to help keep that project going. But really, he relied heavily on his team of the folks in our Parks Department who came out for our ribbon cutting, and they're really the ones that shouldered the heavy burden to get it done. So I appreciate he and his team. Of course, Chelsea Sharon, I think she I think she stayed on that park probably once a week until we got that ribbon cut to make sure it was done. So we were able to get that accomplished. It was a really great event. So just wanted to let everyone know that. And what an awesome opportunity to honor again the legacy of Brigadier General Bud Day. We were able to update the signage. Of course, he was elevated to the rank of general after his death. He died in 2013, and that was bestowed upon him, I believe, in 2018. And so we were able to update the signage to recognize his current rank, and then all the things that he had done, and it was really good. So that's all I have. That brings us to the end of the agenda. I'm sure everyone is exhausted, so we will adjourn.